This is the Puck Junk Podcast.
Hello and welcome to the Puck Junk Hockey Podcast. I'm Sal Berry, and with me is Tim Parrish and Clemente Lisi. And today we're going to talk about what's going on with Check Out My Cards. We're also going to talk about the new eBay card pricing feature. I wanted to call it an app. It's built into their mobile app. We'll talk more about that and some other things going on in the worlds of card and card collecting and card conventions, including our recap of the recent Chicago Sports Spectacular. So anyway, guys, how you doing? Who wants to go first with what's going on?
Well, I'll go first, and I'll just say that I'm happy to be here, of course, as always, and I'm preparing for Thanksgiving, and I'm sure when you're listening to this, you're probably heading over to Grandma's house for Thanksgiving dinner. So enjoy that. But otherwise, you guys had the busy weekend. You guys were at a show, so I want to hear about that.
Yeah, that's why I lost my voice is kind of raspy because I've talked so much over the past 3 days, more than I realized. And I just, it's like, so I sound a little out of it. I sound a little sick, but I'm not sick. I'm actually feeling great, but I do sound like I am sick, but I am not. But Tim, how are you?
He's on mute.
I think Tim's on mute.
Yeah, it helps if I press that button.
Yeah.
Many times I'm told I can't complain, but I tell those people, don't tell me what to do. So that's where I'm at right now. But I'm good. I'm well. Looking forward to a couple days off at the end of the week here. So
yeah, that is nice. Like I said, I love watching hockey on Black Friday, the day after Thanksgiving. Roll out of bed, slither over to the couch, heat up some leftovers. I guess that means I got to go in the kitchen and then, hope for a game that's on at like 11 or noon or something and just try to watch hockey nonstop. Unfortunately, I might have to do some grading and or house cleaning. So, but we'll see. I mean, because school ended for the quarter. So now I got like maybe 70 final projects to grade. So I'm going to be busy the next couple of days. But you're absolutely right.
We're actually not having Thanksgiving this year. So
no?
Interesting. No. There's not going to be anybody here. Like Jake's going to his dad's. My kids are going to be with their mom. So it's just Jess and I. So.
I thought you were planning like a Cracker Barrel thing or not.
Yeah, well, those things where you wait till the last minute and then it's too late. Yeah, that's where we're at right now. So
here's what you got to do is you got to order a pizza on Wednesday that's halfway cooked. And then the next day you toss it in the oven and cook it the rest of the way. You get like a nice deep dish pizza from like Giordano's or someplace. And then you do you guys have Giordano's, Clemente? Or is that a Chicago thing? I think it's a Chicago thing.
Don't get me started about deep dish. I'm from New York.
Yeah,
you mean pizza quiche?
Pizza quiche. No, it's lasagna. I heard New Yorkers refer to it as lasagna.
Don't get me wrong. Like I prefer New York pizza, but if you're doing a Thanksgiving thing, this is like a big, a heartier meal is a deep dish for sure. No, we have Giordano's in New York. We don't have any deep dish other than Pizzeria Uno, which is not a real thing. I know, but no,
Uno's is a chain.
Yeah,
most of ours closed around here, and now I noticed the last couple of years we've got a couple back. So
New York, I think deep dish wouldn't really fly. Just like probably the thin slice stuff doesn't work in the Windy City. So
thin crust is big out here, but it's not thin crust like the giant pieces that you fold in half and eat like New York style. It's thin but small, like it's square cut.
Oh, I see. So more like crust. A Sicilian slice in New York, kind of call that, or more Detroit style, which is becoming a thing now too. But
Detroit's thick, but it's got the sauce on top.
Yeah.
Jets is the chain that has that.
Okay, which we don't have in New York.
I've never tried Jets. They always put menus in our mailbox.
Yeah, we've got a couple Jets now. around where I am. But
in New York, everything is an original Ray's pizza. No one really knows if they're connected or who Ray is. But if you walk around New York, there's a lot of original Rays or Rays, and
Ray's,
people
original Rays,
yeah,
the
exactly.
Rays.
Yeah. And the chains don't do well in New York, which makes sense, because why would you want to get Domino's if you're in New York City? It doesn't make a lot of sense.
Oh, God.
Yeah. I still am tempted to, like, maybe tomorrow go out to a couple grocery stores during my lunch break and see if I can find a turkey and just buy one. Because
what I used to do,
I gotta have turkey for Thanksgiving.
Yeah, no, when the kids were little, what I would do is, because they wouldn't eat it because they were like 5 or 6, I would get like the bird that had like no, it was just like the turkey breast.
Like breast,
yeah. Even though I like the legs, but then
I like turkey.
But you get the enough of the meat, and you get a couple of sides, and you're good to go. I mean, so it's you don't have to make anything big, and you want some leftovers because you want to have them in a sandwich on Friday. So you want to have some leftovers.
That's the whole benefit of having it, is because you have leftovers.
Yeah, exactly. So
you eat turkey for like 4 or 5 days until it smells like farts in your fridge.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not wrong about that.
Yeah, that's true. You don't want it to get to that point. If you're having it fun Monday morning for breakfast on the way back to work, maybe you've had too much.
You're just eating a turkey leg in traffic
on a Monday.
I think Sunday's the last day that you can have the leftover turkey, like legally. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Then after that, I think you just got to let it all go, because turkey's not going to be good. The stuffing's going to be like fused into like a block together.
That's where the salmonella kicks in.
The gravy has separated into like different layers, and it's got that layer of fat, and you're just like, ugh, you know what I mean? Like you're too grossed out to stir it up. So
you guys need to live a little, be adventurous. Come on.
Leave it out overnight. See what happens.
A little fur on your food never hurt nobody.
Just cut that part off.
Except me, I'm allergic to penicillin, so.
Yeah, no, I mean, I do think some people take that leftover turkey thing way too far, but I think Friday, Saturday is okay. You can also make soup out of it, and it's a long story.
Yeah, it's too much work.
Before we put this turkey conversation to rest, I just want to say the thing that I think is always funny. Maybe not funny in a ha-ha, oh my God, that's great, funny, but like funny in a sad sort of way, are all the fires that happen when people use the deep fryer for the turkey.
Yes.
And they don't realize that you should not put the oil all the way to the top.
Also, don't have ice. Also, the bird's ice cold, which you're not supposed to take out of the freezer and put directly in there.
They've got to be completely thawed.
Right.
Yeah. And you realize, I didn't realize, but there's a lot of PSAs around that. You know how many mobile homes burn down because of that?
Yeah.
Because that's what people do it outside, and all of a sudden.
Or porches or back.
Yeah.
I don't want to offend anyone, but those that go about their business and do the deep frying are generally the ones that did not do well in science class.
Right.
And
now,
probably live in the mobile homes.
Yeah. I will say this. I've never had it, but I hear amazing things about it. If you're able not to burn down the house, and let's say you actually are successful, I hear it's amazing as a bird. But
it's great.
But I've never had it. I don't want to burn down my house. So it's not going to happen. But
I've had the deep fried turkey, and we've also made one on the grill before. They're really good, but it's a lot. It's extra work. Takes extra time. You got to pay attention to what's going on, but it's good.
Yeah. You can't be like, oh, football game's on, and you turn around for like 3 minutes, and then like the whole house on fire.
So shall we get into it then?
Sure.
Let's do it.
All right. So
why not?
Here's what's on the docket for today. We're going to talk about the fall 2025 Chicago Sports Spectacular. We're going to talk about 2 additional sport card expos that are coming in 2026. Talk about the National putting its tickets on sale next week. We're going to talk about eBay launching its new sport card price guide feature. And we're going to talk about what's going on with COMC. The Chicago Sports Spectacular. I was there all 3 days. I was actually there on Thursday doing setup because I was selling at the show. I was there selling my shirts, some hockey cards, promoting the podcast, the blog, the newsletter, talking to people. A few people came up and said that they listened to the podcast. They enjoyed the show. somebody told me that they actually listened to the last one. The one that just came out, but he's like, oh, I just finished listening to it. And he's like, it was really good. It was really interesting about all the game worn jerseys and stuff. So, and then they said that how, they just enjoy the three of us talking with each other and how much they like that. And another person said that, the quality, like the audio quality of your show is good. Well, at first I misunderstood what he was talking about, because then he was talking about how hard it is to listen to shows that have bad audio. And I said, oh, is something wrong with the audio? Is it, like whose microphone is having the problem? Are we all coming in clearly? Or he's like, no, you guys are great. He says, but when you have a podcast and the audio is bad, he's like, it's so hard to listen to it. And I go, well, yeah, if that's all you have is the audio. But so we got nothing but compliments. Nobody said, oh, the show's too long. They're just like, yeah, so what? I listened to it in 3-4, sittings. I listen to it when I commute to work and commute home. I listen to it on the train, whatever. So good feedback. But like I said, I did a lot of talking. So I'm a little raspy, but just to give a quick recap, the show was this past weekend, November 21st to 23rd. It was at the Donald E. Stevens Convention Center in Chicago, in Rosemont, which is a suburb of Chicago. Close enough, though. It's like really just borders the city. There was exactly one hockey autograph guest, unless you count Emilio Estevez. So you had Paul Coffey was the one guest. We'll talk more about that in a minute. But then there were also a lot of people in Mighty Ducks jerseys who were, there to get Emilio Estevez's autograph. One guy who stopped at the table at the Puck Junk booth, I believe his name was Zach. He had this photo that was signed by almost everybody in the cast, and he had gotten it signed by Estevez that weekend, and it was just such a cool thing, because it said a couple of weeks ago they had some sort of Ducks reunion nearby, near Chicago, and then he got Emilio Estevez on it. So I could get it. If you got all the other people on it, yeah, you're going to pay $150 and get him to sign that as well. Second largest show.
Doug Dorsey was there too.
Who's that?
I said, don't forget Doug Dorsey was there too.
And I'm going to say, who's that?
That was DB Sweeney in the Cutting Edge.
Oh, okay. Doug Dorsey, right. Yeah, you know what? DB Sweeney. I was going to add him to this list because I brought him up last time, but I never saw did you see the Cutting Edge?
Me? I've seen it.
You've seen it. I have not.
I've seen it numerous times.
Okay.
I was duped into watching it the first time, and I was like, it's not that bad.
Okay. Yeah, I'll have to add that to the list. And then, is this the second largest card show in the U.S., in the world? Maybe not, because I heard that the last Expo in Toronto was really big. So maybe the Chicago Sports Spectacular is not the second biggest show to the National, but it's still pretty damn big. There were some dealers, including myself, selling hockey cards, but it was mostly baseball and other sports. So what do you, Tim, what are your thoughts on this show? Like, what you want to talk about? And you want to talk about some of the things that you bought as well?
I mean, I can do all of that. The some dealers selling hockey was way more than some.
Okay.
This was probably the most hockey I've seen at a sports spectacular in years. At least since the Blackhawks were winning Stanley Cups.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of tables had hockey. A lot of tables had more than just the 2 or 3 cards, usual suspects in a case. I was kind of surprised to see that.
In my own defense, I will say that I didn't get a chance to walk around a lot and really do much buying. So thank you. Because like I said, I was pretty much between my table and like maybe 2 trips to the bathroom per day. That was all I was at. You know what I mean? I think I waited in line to get my friend a drink at the concession stand. And that was about as long as I was away from our booth. But okay. So you said more hockey than the last few. And that's probably because the Blackhawks have been doing pretty good and Bedard's been playing very well. So it makes sense that people would be bringing hockey cards with them now.
Well, and the interesting thing is you see these regional shows a lot of times, and if the team is hot, they'll bring that team. But I didn't see that much focused Blackhawks stuff either. It was just hockey in general. And yeah, they had usual suspects like we always see. We see the Gretzky rookies. We see the, the Crosby young gun, the McDavid young gun. Those were all there. But there was a lot of other stuff that you generally don't see. And some dealers that had at least the space for it, where they would have a case of football, a case of baseball, a case of basketball, they would also have a case of hockey. And I was kind of shocked to see that. And even I went with my two of my sons, and they were pointing it out everywhere we went. They'd be like, Dad, hockey. So, they're trained to look out for it, but they were pointing out the fact that it was at a lot of tables. So, and you have a predominant hockey at your table. There's a couple others that are usually at those shows that have hockey as well. They were there, but there were also a lot of others. And so I was pleasantly surprised by that. I think the show was bigger table-wise than the last one, it seemed.
Yes, they expanded more. They put more tables towards that autograph area. Usually you when you go to the autograph area, there'd be kind of like this air, it'd be kind of empty, and then you'd see like the queues for like the autograph lines. But
it's almost like they used to create a buffer where there was nothing, and then the autograph lines were like way off to the side, kind of separate from everything else. But a lot of these dealer tables have now encroached into that empty space, and they pushed a little further closer to the turnstile lines of the autograph section. And that was one thing that I kind of noticed, because as we walked across the back, so you get that last table across the very back going towards the autograph section, and there's those people that are always selling like the photos, the pucks, the footballs, everything else, the things that people would buy to go get signed. And that's usually just about the end. It doesn't go that much further than that. There might be a few tables a little further, or maybe one more row where there's a couple dealers that are selling like supplies and things like that. This went way further than that. And most of the newer tables that were in that area, I noticed, were dealers that I've never seen before. Younger, had a younger crowd at their tables. A bunch of Pokemon tables over there. So I don't know if that was reserved for, hey, we're going to open up this new spot, and all of the guys that are new to this event, we're going to stick them all over in that area. I don't know if that's what that was or not.
I just had a thought, and maybe because the Nationals in Chicago for 3 years, maybe a lot of people that wanted to be at the National in terms of being a dealer and couldn't be, were like, hey, let's get, we're pretty local, we're in the region, let's get a table at this show twice a year and do that, and then maybe get on the wait list for the National, and they realize it's a fertile market and it's a big show.
It may have been. And I also noticed a couple of those tables had advertisements up on it, or signs where they do breaks too. So they were kind of like the dual, I'm selling stuff, breaking stuff kind of thing. Which brings me to another point. There were way less empty tables. Now, of course, I was there on a Saturday, so it was pretty busy. I was actually surprised. I didn't think it was going to be that busy. So I didn't go on a Sunday, usually when people pack up, so I didn't really notice that. But the last couple of these shows, there's been a lot of empty tables. I didn't notice any empty tables or any empty space. Although I did notice many dealers that had like 3 or 4 cases, and they had like 6 cards in each case. And they were the ones that were sitting there on their phones the entire time, looking up comps and entertaining all the people with the big giant cases of craziness. So I don't know. It seemed like a healthy mix of everything going on all at once, which was both weird and kind of cool, I guess. Like the intermixing of everything. So getting new blood is good. Not seeing the same, same 50 dealers over and over again. Yeah, they were there, but there were probably at least a few dozen more that I didn't recognize that I'd never seen before. So that was kind of nice. Dug through a lot of boxes, a lot of quarter boxes, dollar boxes. So that was plentiful. A lot of people have been saying the quarter boxes are dead at shows. I don't think they are. I think people are realizing that not everybody can afford the thousands of dollars and the 20 grand and the 30 grand and the 50. My kids pointed out I missed it, but it was going on behind me and I was digging through a box. There was a guy at a table behind us, just dropped like $120,000 at this table. And the kids were just like in awe. And I'm like, what's going on? And they're like, that guy just spent over $100,000. I'm like, what did he buy? Nobody had any idea. But there's all this money just sitting all over the table. I'm like, it was probably fake because we saw plenty of them with their cameras and guys go, oh, I love your show. It's so great. It's awesome. I'm like, they staged that. They told the guy like over there, hey, come up to us in 3 minutes and pretend like you like us. And so there was a lot of that going on too. But anyway, I had fun. We all had fun. It was a good time. Like I said, I dug through a lot of boxes. I did violate my rule of I wasn't going to buy any more wax anymore because I was told by someone else that lives in my house that I should come home with a surprise, and she likes to open wax. So I was kind of stuck and I had to buy something. So
what'd you get? What wax did you buy?
Well, a guy had Series 1 tins. I don't usually buy retail. You know how much I love retail. Who am I? I don't even recognize myself anymore. Anyway, so there's these retail tins. He had them for $40.
It's not bad.
For a reseller to sell tins at $40, there's got to be something wrong. So I'm like, all right, I'll get a couple tins to like open later whenever I feel like it. But I got her a box of platinum of 24, 25 O-Pee-Chee platinum.
Such a romantic.
I am. And you know, she loved it and she opened it yesterday morning and she pulled
you guys have a lot of pack luck, I feel. You guys do well when you open.
She does. I don't. Usually it's when she picks the box.
Okay.
So like I could show you a couple things since they're sitting here on my desk. She pulled a Sweet Selections Macklin Celebrini, so that was kind of cool. She also pulled the Rainbow Macklin Celebrini Marquee Rookie, the rainbow version, which I thought it was sitting here, but I guess maybe it's not. Oh yeah, here it is, the rainbow one. So it's like extra shiny prismy. So that was kind of cool. Like all the boxes we bought of the previous or 2 years ago of Bedard or whatever, never pulled one out of any product, not even like an insert. And first product we break of 24-25. She gets this one. She got that insert. Our autograph was Alexander Holt, so that was kind of blah. Blue auto. And she also pulled, which this was kind of cool, Jonathan LeCaramaki Marquee Rookie. You'll notice it's kind of weird color and everything. Yeah. This is the bioluminescence parallel. These are numbered out of 5.
It's a nice color.
So yeah, it's a pretty cool card. And the fact that it's numbered, I don't know if you can see. There you go.
Oh, I see
1 out of 5.
Yeah. So it's an eBay 1 of 1 because it's number 1 and it's the first one made and it's the only one that's number 1. So that should be worth like billions and billions of pennies. Those are rare now. They're worth more. Yeah, so it was a cool box, and there was a lot of other parallels and colors and everything else. So if you've opened boxes of this, you know what I'm talking about. Lots of sunsets and reds and pinks and blues and all of that kind of stuff. So that was fun. We haven't opened the upper deck tins yet, and I bought some other things. I like I said, I sifted through boxes for forever the whole time we were there. Lots of pens I picked up. I needed 2 cards for my 80-81 top set. I found 1. So now I'm down to only needing 1. I found a few 71, 72 Topps story booklets. So now I'm down. I thought I only needed 2. I need 3. So I'm down to 3 on that. I found the I've been looking for one of these in decent condition for a while. The old mini card album. That you would buy you'd get these and you'd put the little sticker stamps in there. Well, it doesn't have any of the stamps. It's not been punched in, but nice. I've been looking for one in decent condition. You usually find one with the stamp stuck on them, or they're like ragged and they're falling apart. This one is like in immaculate condition. So I found that at just a random table that had like a stack of a dozen hockey cards. Yeah, and I found a guy with a bunch of 20-cent just randomness, and essentially suckered myself into building the 92-93 Topps gold set from scratch because of everything that he had in that box. Because I'm like, there's easily 2/3 of the set in here, so wow. I figured, why not? So I did that, and a couple other silly things that I told myself I would never do, and well, I did because there were cards in cheap boxes. Think 90s inserts. So I now have on my infinite checklist a bunch of 90s insert sets that were on there 4 days ago that I'm apparently building.
You did a similar thing at the National. There's a lot of 90s inserts at that one.
Yeah, but a lot of that was like to go to my Penguins collection. Like
that was Lemieux, yeah, mostly
Lemieux Yager stuff that you usually don't find.
Sure.
This time it was, I'll give you a for instance. If you remember the 95-96 Zenith, they had a set of all the thugs called Gifted Grinders.
Don't remember that one.
Yeah. So it features the likes of people like Dale Hunter and Jason Arnott and Todd Harvey and Rick Tocchet and Wendell Clark, and basically guys that can score but will also thump you. Yeah. So like stuff like that, or like 95, what is this, 95 Skybox, the Generation Next set, which they look like they're printed on fire. Yeah. So like stuff like that, where I found the bulk of the set, if not all of them, in like 25-cent and quarter boxes. So
nice.
I'm like, yeah, I'll do it. So
sometimes
I think I picked up
a
lot of that stuff. A box probably about yay big of just singles of random stuff. And then I got 2 sets, one from my friend Sal and one from somebody else, of some basically the in the game missing link set, and the what was the other one? The 60.
Oh, the one that you got from me?
Yeah, like 66.
66, 67 Parkhurst.
The Parkhurst ones.
Yeah.
The ones they did in the mid 90s.
Right.
So I wanted to get to build those sets, but I never could. And so I just bought both of them outright. So
yeah, those weren't the easiest to find. Like when they came out, I'm sure card shops got them, but they weren't like the kind of thing that you found like at like the drugstore or like the grocery store. Like I go to like my grocery store and they'd have like Upper Deck cards, but they wouldn't have like the Upper Deck Parkhurst cards, like Missing Link or Tall Boys or whatever.
Yeah, they're more of a rare thing. And
yeah,
you know, buying the sets, I'm a sucker for like older stuff. Like I like retro, I like the throwback things, I like, you know, reprint type stuff. Because I think
we did an episode about we called it the Neo Vintage or the Neo Retro, the Neo Retro Parkhurst sets, because those are, I mean, they're not expensive. They're 30 years old, but they show players that are 60 years ago, and they're relatively inexpensive. I mean, you could get in the weeds on some of the inserts and mail-aways and autographs and stuff like that were found in those sets. But yeah, those Neo Retro Parker sets are I think they're just such a great find, you know?
Yeah, and you got to keep it open. If you're a hockey fan and you're especially a hockey collector, especially if you're not focusing on ultra modern type stuff, you got to have some place in your heart for the old stuff and really be able to appreciate the old players and just old time hockey and what built the league to be what it is today. You know, not every guy was a Hall of Famer back then. A lot of these guys that are depicted on some of these cards, you're like, well, who's that? Well, you can learn about them and find out like they had a major impact in, you know, the league going forward from, you know, from where they were. And, you know, some of these guys were the idols of the guys that became the players that we knew about 70s and 80s forward. So, you know, it's kind of cool to keep that history in. And so, like I said, I'm a sucker for that kind of stuff. So yeah, couple things of wax, lots of singles, couple sets. I even found a Bill Guerin card I didn't have. So there you go.
Wow.
Checked off a lot of check boxes were checked over the weekend. So and my one son got a jersey and the other son chickened out on buying a piece of memorabilia. So that I thought he was going to pull the trigger on, but he walked away. So
well, that's restraint.
Yeah. He was kicking himself the next day, but that's all right. I told him he'll see it again.
Yeah. Yeah, I was telling myself yesterday, there's something I regretted not picking up at the show. And then I told myself, I said, hey, you know what? I could fill a room with all the things that I regret not buying. And if you think about that, what that means is that if I bought all the things that I regretted not buying, I'd have no room for them. You know what I mean? So I could fill a room like physically with all the things that I should have bought that. I should have bought that. Right. So it just happens sometimes. But I did pick up a few things, exactly 4 things. I really had to think about this because I wanted to get the Chicago Blackhawks Centennial set, and I didn't want to order it online because I don't want to mess around with shipping, and sometimes you pay sales tax. And so I bought it from a local dealer called Chicagoland Sports Cards, and they had the box set, the Blackhawk box set for $50, which is what it's going for. And that way I just had it. You know, I didn't have to pay shipping, didn't have to pay tax. Bought it from a local dealer, you know, support your local card shop. I mean, Upper Deck was selling them online for the same price. And then they're like, oh, and free shipping for orders over $99. And I'm like, well, if I buy a couple of things, but then I'm like, no, I'll just wait until the Sport Card Spectacular and then buy it then. So I did. As you can see, it's got 2 of my favorite players on the box. You got Chris Chelios and Jeremy Roenick. What could possibly go wrong? But kidding aside, I can't wait to bust that open, write a review of the set. Next to that, if you're watching the video, if not, I'll just describe what it is. But it's a Blackhawk puck signed by Michel Goulet, and it's got his Hall of Fame inscription year of 1998, HOF 98. This guy comes up to my table, and he's like, I don't know anything about hockey. Is this a good puck? And I look at it, and I go, oh, yeah, Michel Goulet, Hall of Fame. You know, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, well, I don't really know hockey. I don't collect hockey. Do you want to buy it? And I said, you know, I don't really want to buy it. I said, but what do you like? He's like, I like basketball. I'm like, well, let's make a trade. So I traded him some cards that he wanted, and I got this puck. Don't think I'm going to sell it. I might just keep it. Doesn't matter. The thing is he walked away shaking my hand, thanking me because he had this thing that he didn't want. He got it in a mystery box. The people who bought the platinum passes, the 3-day passes, they got a mystery box that had like an autographed item in it. So of course you have the football fan who gets the hockey item, or the hockey fan who gets the baseball item. You know what I mean? It just kind of happens that way, right? And it seems like nobody ever really trades with each other. Well, because they get them at different times. It's not like the National when there's like a VIP reception and people can trade with each other. But that was a nice story because he was happy. I was happy. Everybody won. You know, that's a nice story. Paul Coffey was signing autographs. He was the only hockey player, present or former, not counting the characters from the movies. What was that character's name on Cutting Edge, Tim?
What was that again?
The Cutting Edge, the character's name, played by D.B. Sweeney.
Oh, Doug Dorsey.
Okay, no Doug Dorsey, no Coach Gordon Bombay. I mean, I didn't get their autographs, but as far as like just NHL players, past and present, Paul Coffey was there. I got his rookie card signed, got his Hall of Fame year inscribed on it. I thought about it. And so here's the thing. An autograph from Coffey was like $50. And I mean, look, there's a comfort level. Like if Emilio Estevez was $50, I would have bought that, right? I would have bought his autograph because that would be cool to have. We always have a threshold, right? Like how much am I going to enjoy this versus what I'm getting out of it, right? Like I remember when I originally would go to these sport card spectaculars in the 90s. Back then it was called the Sun Times Sports Card Show. They'd have Hall of Fame hockey players, and they'd be signing sometimes for as low as $8. Now, this was 1993, $8 back then, probably like maybe $25 today, maybe $20 today, but you get the idea, right? Like it's all relative, right? Because now you look at $8, you go, $8, that's what a soda costs at the convention. Actually, it costs just under $7, but you know what I mean? So it's all relative, but I think the thing is that that's why, like when I went to the Sport Card Expo last fall, and there were a lot of guys signing for $20, $25, I was getting their autograph because I'm like, well, this would have been like a $10 autograph back in the day, and that's relatively inexpensive. And I like a lot of these players. And then I look at Paul Coffey and I go, all right, $50, that's fine. You look at other Hall of Famers, $75, $100. And then if you look at other sports, it's like 2 or 3 times as much. So, yeah. So I wanted to get his rookie card signed, got it signed. Happy that I did. And then the other autographed card that you see here is a young gun of Cole Gutman, formerly of the Chicago Blackhawks. And that is what we call a pity purchase. That is when a kid comes up to you and he wants to sell you a card. Now, this wasn't a little kid. This was like maybe a 16-year-old. He had the case, the bro case. Very nice young man. Had a hockey jersey on. He of a minor league team. And he was telling me, I said, why are you wearing that? Like, just curious. And he goes, oh, my aunt worked for that team, and I got to meet the players when I was young, and I got to sit on the bench and watch warm-ups, and it was just such like a life-changing experience for him. So, it was an Orlando Solar Bears jersey that he was wearing, which you don't see those too often. And I think they're an ECHL team now, but back in they were IHL for a while. But anyway, so he had this card and he wanted to sell it, and he just, he's just like, hey, would you buy it for this much? I said, yeah, that's fine. I said, I'll just throw it in my collection of Blackhawk autographs, because what did they say? You either retire a Blackhawk or you play long enough to get traded to another team. I don't know. But anyway, so yeah, that was my 4 my 4 only pickups at the show.
Did you look through the rest of his box to see what he had in there?
He didn't really have any hockey for sale. Like if he did, it might have been like some high-end graded card that I just had no interest in. And then it could have been like this. And I think I gave him like $5 for it. Yeah, it was exactly $5. I don't want to say I think it was $5. I know exactly what it was. It was $5. He's like, oh, I'll just take $5 for it. I just want to get rid of it. I'm like, yeah, it's fine.
Well, I'll tell you this: $50 for Paul Coffey, I think that's a steal.
I think so too.
But that's just me. And I mean, look, you can come up with all the all-time lists and ranking lists and all of that kind of stuff, but he's a Hall of Famer. He was a surefire Hall of Famer. He's probably on everybody's top 5 list of defensemen of all time. Might even be higher in some people's. So, yeah, you can't go wrong with Hall of Famer autographs. I don't care who they are. If they're in the Hall of Fame, they're pinnacle up here. So
yeah, no, I agree with Tim, and I think I got him at the Expo. Had to be for the same amount of money, Canadian, maybe $39 or $49 Canadian. So it was about the same price.
Yeah.
And he was, because everyone's into the, newer players, younger players. There wasn't a long line for him when I went. I saw him at the Expo. And funny thing, apropos what we were talking about earlier, we did talk about New York pizza for a while. Because I get the impression when Gretzky was in New York, a lot of his former Oiler buddies would come visit him a lot because they were retired at that point. And he knew a lot about pizza in Brooklyn, and it was, and I also commented at the time that he, I think to Sal afterwards was this guy. I don't know if you noticed Sal, but he's still a big guy, good shape, big hands. Like this guy is. I wouldn't want to run into him and get into a bar fight with this guy at this age. I think he can still kick everyone's. Yeah, I think he can still kick everyone's butt. And so,
well, he still coaches and he goes out and skates with the players and does all the same stuff they do. So
I know he's part of the Oilers team where they bring him in whenever the Oilers are in trouble, which seems to be every 6 weeks. But anyway, so he's kind of involved with the team, and he's a big part of Oilers history. And just a real legend, especially if you're our generation and you remember him playing in the 80s and 90s. I think he means more to us than he would, somebody who's 12 years old now or 15 has never heard of the guy or never seen him. So definitely underrated in terms of signings, and odd that he'd be the only signer there. But yeah, I'm glad you got him. I think he's worthy getting for any collection.
I mean, Pittsburgh doesn't have 2 cups in the early 90s without.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's why I said most of the Oilers. I know he had a stopover in the Penguins for a while too.
It was more of, I don't think it was a stopover. I mean, he was
he there for like 6 seasons, maybe?
He was there for a while.
He was there, I mean, what, 2 cups in Pittsburgh and 4 cups in Edmonton?
Was he there for all 4 cups?
Yeah, I'm not sure if he was there for all 4, but
87, 88 was he was on the Penguins by midway through 87, 88, Tim?
Well, let's go to the old Oracle. 87, 88 was his first year with the Pens. He was there for 46 games, and then he played all the way up until 91, 92 when he was unceremoniously sent to the Kings.
Oh, so he wasn't part of the second cup? I did not know that. Okay. So 3 cups in Edmonton, 1 cup in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the Kings were trying to be like the Oilers because they had gotten Coffey and they had later gotten Grant Fuhr for a little while. So it was
they're trying to get the band back together.
But you have a club that's been that bad for so long, a club that arguably, possibly, maybe tanked for Lemieux and was still extremely bad for years to come after that because they couldn't build a team around the guy because no one really wanted to play there. And then all of a sudden they made a couple key moves to get guys that had street cred. And then all of a sudden people were like, yeah, I'll go play for Pittsburgh. One of those guys was Coffey. So,
yeah.
So, Clemente, you didn't go, obviously, to the Chicago Sports Spectacular, but you didn't want to be left out of the conversation of what we got. So,
so
talk about a few things that you got.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't been to a show since the National, so which is weird. And I was talking to a friend of mine last week, and I said, once you go to the National for all 5 days, you really scratch that show itch for a while. And don't get me wrong, I'd love to go to a show, and I think the next show I'm going to is going to be a White Plains show in January, the one where you go on Sunday and half the people disappear because of the NFL playoffs, that show. But and I'll sure pick up some stuff. But no, I picked up a couple of things both on eBay and on COMC. I know we'll talk about COMC later. But this Salming rookie, I had this card years ago, and then I don't know what happened to it. I must have traded it away or given it away. And I was reading recently a new book by Ken Reed called The Next One, which is going to be my column next month. So spoiler alert. But in the book, it's about the various scouts over the years who've discovered, NHL talent. And one of the first chapters is about the guy who discovered Salming playing in Sweden. And it was just an interesting backstory about, at a time in the early 70s, at a time when you didn't even have North American scouts going to Europe, and what a great talent he was. And then, I did some more reading about him, just an interesting career. Played for, across almost 3 decades. And talking about good defensemen, he's probably one of the trailblazers in terms of defensemen coming from Europe. And I was like, I don't have his rookie. I know we talked about 74, 75 OPG recently, and I think it's a great card, a great vintage card. And so I got that on COMC.
He's super underrated Hall of Famer.
Yeah, I agree.
Super underrated.
Yeah, I agree. Underrated. And I got that through COMC. Hopefully I'll get that card. More on that later. And then
you'll get
so it's a pickup, but sort of in limbo pickup. It's not on my hands yet. And then the other two I picked up on eBay, which is funny because like Tim pointed out earlier, I have opened a lot of wax in the last, since last year, and opened a lot of stuff and gotten plenty of Celebrinis. So I don't know if they printed more of him than they ever did Bedard, or just luck. Because Bedard, I never really picked up any Bedard cards last year, 2 years ago now, 3 years ago actually. And then you have Celebrini now, who's I think a very good player, and I think I'm not saying underrated. Some people think he's better than Bedard. I think he's not better than Bedard, but I think he will have a very good career. And so if I get a chance to get Celebrini cards, this is the OPG marquee rookie, not the biggest card in the world, but if you're looking for rookie cards that are on the cheap, that's one to get. And then the other one is the Michkov Young Guns, which I hate that design. But I think he's also the real deal. And you got to chip away at that Young Guns collection slowly. And then the other pickup I did pick up recently was I picked up Series 1, but I've not opened it, and I've actually put it away. And the goal is to open over the Thanksgiving break and have some fun. Maybe, as Sal pointed out, maybe Friday during one of those games, just rip open a box and see what's in there.
Nice. Yeah, some nice pickups. So you got a
Did you buy a hobby box?
Oh.
I bought a hobby box, and yeah, it's been sitting in my living room, I think probably for 2.5 weeks now. Yeah.
The tin.
Oh, the tin. Yeah. I will say I love the cover art on that. I know we're probably going to do a Series 1 look at Series 1 at some point next month. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that, and I look forward to opening it and just seeing what's in there. And Series 1's always fun, and every year I open it, usually right when it comes out. This year, I don't know. It's been so busy that I'm like, you know what? At this point, I've held off long enough. Let me just hang on to it and open it during the 4-day break when I have some time to enjoy it.
Yeah, nice pickups. All right, so Sport Card Expo. None of us went to it in Toronto this year. But what was interesting is that I'm on their mailing list, and so they sent the email. Thanks to everybody who made the Toronto Sport Card Expo a success. And in their graphic, or in their email, they had this graphic where they showed like the different shows, 2026 Expo. And they showed the Edmonton Expo in April, the Toronto Expo in April, end of April, early May, Montreal Expo in May, a Calgary Expo, TBA, another Montreal Expo in October, and then the Toronto Fall Expo in early November of 2026. But what's interesting is that there were 2 question marks, like that are showing Sport Card Expo, but it didn't really show the whole graphic. It's like it's a page that's being peeled, like it's revealing like there's going to be another expo somewhere before the one before the Edmonton Expo, and then another one between the Montreal May show and the other one in the Calgary show that's TBA. So we're trying to think like, okay, are these going to be in Canadian cities? Or are they going to be in U.S. cities? Well, I mean, it makes sense for them to be in Canadian cities because this is, kind of look at this as like a hockey show, even though it tries to not be a hockey show. It tries to be like a more general mainstream sports card show. But then they only have like one baseball player sign autographs and like one wrestler, and then 30 hockey players, right? So it's kind of getting typecast as a hockey show. I mean, I like it as a hockey show. But I believe the promoter, I think he now promotes the Strongsville show. Does that sound right to you, Clemente?
That's correct. Strongsville's correct. And the other thing you haven't I noticed when I saw this graphic was Quebec is gone. There's no Quebec show. So, but they do Strongsville. So I did wonder, are these just Canadian? And of course, I got my American goggles on. So I'm like, are there any other Canadian cities I can't think of, like Ottawa or something? Or these are just going to be more Canadian cities, or maybe these are indeed American cities, but I don't know if if Ohio would be rebranded Sport Card Expo, Ohio, or whatever. So the speculation is growing. There's people who went to Toronto who I've seen chatter saying that they were hoping to be more Toronto shows because it was such a big crowd this year. Apparently, they were like, you could have had this show again or make it a 5-day show like the National. So there's a lot of talk about expanding Toronto. You're right about the graphic, as you pointed out, if you want to go on, but the colors may be an indication of something.
Because one of them has like gold as its color, and the other one has kind of like, I can't tell if that's an orange.
What's red, right? Or orange?
I don't know, because so like the Toronto Expos are branded with blue, and the Edmonton, the logo for the Edmonton show is branded with orange, and the Calgary show with like a different color red. And I believe the Quebec one was like that, kind of like that Nordiques blue, right? Like that baby blue, royal blue, whatever.
Montreal's also red.
Yeah, but they tried to make But so what I'm saying is that like they're kind of color coded. So if they were doing an Ohio rebranding the Ohio show as Sports Card Expo Ohio, don't the Cleveland Browns wear orange on their helmets?
Yes.
And that's an orange Sports Card Expo logo?
Yeah, I don't know. I want to believe that these are all Canadian shows.
I know, but I get it. And they don't have to all follow like the color of the NHL teams, but they kind of did that so far. So that's what made me think, okay, maybe that gold one is a Sport Card Expo Las Vegas. But
part of me also thinks
a pretty big Vegas show.
Part of me also thinks if you look at it, this if you look at this graphic long enough, it becomes like a psychological test, like an ink blot. But but I noticed there's 2 Montreals and 2 Torontos, and only 1 Edmonton and 1 Calgary. What if they became a second Calgary, a second Edmonton? Calgary is new, so I can't imagine they would do 2 when they haven't even done 1. And Edmonton is pretty far away, but I do think there's a whole part of Western Canada that is far away from these shows in Toronto and the National. So having shows out there is a good idea.
Vancouver show.
Maybe.
That's what I was thinking.
Maybe they're going West Coast.
Yeah, it's possible. Yeah, I just don't know. But because it's funny, Sal pointed out Strongsville. It's true, it's the same organizers, but I've never seen the Strongsville show, is it not to my memory, ever really included in the Expo emails or never really promoted heavily, because that's not really a hockey show at all. That's like a vintage football, baseball, it's everything, but it doesn't have a million hockey signers. And they only came in later. I think Strongsville was already a show. They came in later and took it over for whatever reason. So yeah, look, I'm dying to know too, because maybe there's a trip here for us. Maybe there isn't, I don't know. But it'd be interesting to see what they are.
National tickets go on sale on Cyber Monday. So if you're thinking about going to the National and you're going to go for 1 day or 3 days or all 5 days, might as well grab the ticket as soon as you can, or you could wait, I guess, a bit. Let's see. So the National is coming up, 2026 National Sports Collectors Convention, July 29 to August 2nd, 2026. Be held at the Donald E. Stevens Convention Center in Rosemont, Illinois. So the ticket prices, 1 day ticket, general admission, $25. 5-day early entry pass, $149.99. Basic VIP package is $199.99. And then the all-access VIP package is $329.99. So the basic VIP package comes with autograph tickets for the VIP guests, as they call them. And then the all-access also comes with those. They come with more autograph tickets and usually other perks. I don't think the all-access VIP get front-of-the-line privileges, but there's definitely a pecking order. Like Like who can get, like when people are lined up for the autographs, it'd be like, okay, the people who have these types of tickets can go first, and then these type of tickets go next, and then these type of people go next. And then there's like people have like those passes that let them, like, I think it's like a fast pass or whatever.
Like so anyways, pass you have in Disney?
Kind of, yeah. But then again, if everybody has a lightning pass, everybody still has to wait in line, right?
If everyone's special, no one's special.
Let
me ask you
this, Sal. Did you have all access or basic? Because you had a VIP, right, at the National last year?
I bought the VIP package, and I was kind of on the fence between if I wanted to get the all access VIP or just the basic VIP. And then I remember that the all access VIP was, by the time I was thinking about it for a week, because it was like, what am I going to do? Am I going to go? Am I going to?
I mean,
it's sold out, but it's sold out like, because I found out about 5 weeks before the National that I wasn't going to be setting up. So then I'm like, well, I better buy a ticket then. And then, well, no, it wasn't like I better buy a ticket. It was like, well, I'm going to go. My question is, am I going to go one day? Am I going to go 3? I'm never going to go one day. If I'm going to go, I'm going to go 4 or 5 days. But then I was just thinking, do I want the autographs? Do I want the early entrance? Like all these things I was just asking. And then I'm like, well, do I just want to buy the most expensive package? Because I was looking at like some of the other things, like it comes with the parking pass. Well, I wouldn't need that parking pass, but guess what? Parking costs $20 a day. I could very easily sell that parking pass. It comes with not autograph tickets. What do they call it? Like the certifications, right? Like you can get 5 autographs certed for free. It comes with like those, right? That's something you could sell, right? Like the stuff that you don't want in your package are things that are easily sellable. Like if I just came up to somebody and said, hey, you're going to drive here all 5 days. You want to buy this parking pass, $50, save you, $10 a day. They'd probably do it. You know what I mean? So you could part out some of those things. Plus they give you, usually in the all access VIP package, they give you double the amount of goodies. So if there's like a free pack of V-Friends, then you'd get 2 packs of V-Friends.
Which people wanted. So I know we joke about it, but people were asking us about it.
People were asking about the V-Friend. Some guy came up to me and he's like, are you going to do anything with your V-Friend stickers? And I was just like, no, why? And he's like, would you trade them to me? Me and my son like the V-Friends. And I'm like, yeah, sure. Cool. And he just handed me his page of autograph tickets and said, I said, well, are you looking to trade any of your autograph tickets? He's like, oh, we're not going to get any autographs. Here you go. And that's how I ended up with 11 autographs for Ben Eager. Clemente's in line like, dude, how many Ben Eager autographs do you want? It's just like,
yeah, I mean,
that's a loaded question.
He was extremely eager to get all of those Eager tickets.
Well, if he had more cards, especially cards as a Blackhawk, I would have been a little bit of an easier time to get things signed. It's hard when like I want to say there's been like nationals where it's like one of the VIP guests is a guy who has like no trading cards. I think Kurt Becker, former Chicago Bears player, he doesn't have any football cards. You know how hard it is to get an autograph from somebody when you got nothing to get signed? I mean, you might be able to find a photo, probably find a photo, somebody selling something, but it's just like, what do you do, right? When you have that player who doesn't have any cards and they don't necessarily have a lot of photos, it gets a little harder, a little more challenging, we'll just say.
Just hand him an index card.
Ugh, I think that's the worst.
Well, serves him right. Should have had more cards.
So, Clemente, I know you've already talked about going to the National all 5 days. We've talked about that. I'm still not sure if I'm going to be a dealer or a convention goer. Not sure where my status is yet on that. Either way, I'm going to be there. Tim, I know you're saying that you're not going to go, but eventually you're going to make up your mind and go, or you're going to go, right?
Well, I'm not saying I'm not going to go.
You're good for one day at least.
I'm saying I'm not buying my ticket on December 1st. I will tell you that. Now, come like April or something, you remind me to buy the general admission tickets at $25 because I don't want to pay the extra $10 at the door.
No.
I'll say that.
I was thinking more like July 12th. But anyway.
Maybe. I
You'll
mean,
be
I don't think they lasted that long last year. I think they were gone by April, the general admission.
Oh,
so you had to pay at the door?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I paid at the door
Okay.
because I waited too long. But yeah, I'll be there at least one day. You know, my experience enough as not a dealer, as just somebody that walks around, likes to see stuff and likes to buy stuff. 2 days to me is okay. 3 days I might be able to cover all of it, but I think I'd be bored by noon at that point because I think I'd start overlapping stuff. But if I planned it correctly, I still don't think I could go all 5 days. I think I would just be out of my mind at some point. 2 days is good for me. That's good. It leaves me, I have just a little bit left wanting more, but just not overstimulated. So that's what works. 2 days.
I like going all 5 days, but that's me. I'm different, and I will admit, like by the 4th day or 5th day, and this is just me as going somebody to walk around and buy stuff. You do get a little tired of the whole thing, and you maybe get a little bored, but at the same time, because last year's show was so big, there's some stuff I didn't get around to seeing until the last day. Like, do you guys remember that there was this whole other room of dealers when you go beyond the corporate booths, like where Upper Deck and like Leaf were set up, but if you kept going back past them, there was like it like opened up into another room where there were like dealers. Do you guys remember that?
Yes.
I didn't even look in that room until Sunday. Like I was aware that there were dealers there, but I was just so like between getting autographs or just like I had certain things to do. I was talking to some people for a couple of articles that I was writing. So like I had other things going on, and it was just like because that was like the furthest area with dealers, is just like, oh yeah, I got to check out that area. Oh, I got to check out that area. But then it'd be like, oh, but I got to go to this table and I got to go that. You know what I mean? Like it just, I don't know. So for me, I was glad that I had all that time. But then again, I'm kind of a slowpoke at these things. So
we didn't make it upstairs until the second day, and I'm sorry I did because that cattle turnstile was ridiculous. So
well, that's gonna have to change for next year if they want to make it more appealing.
Well,
I feel like they did that on purpose. So
well, no, I what I don't understand is why they didn't rent more of that space in the second floor. And we talked about that when we did our national recap.
I know. It was like this massive room that's like 90% empty. And then 10% was like packed.
Yeah, I mean, that was that upstairs. That's the hall where they have the Chicago Sports Spectacular.
Yeah, exactly.
And so
it takes up the vast majority of the hall, except for the dead space by the autograph booth, which they started to fill up this year. So
right, and what they did here was they basically took 1/3 of that space, but then even then they didn't even use the full third of that space because remember there were those not velvet ropes, but like those metal rails.
Yeah. And the entryway was like super wide, and you walk all the way to the back to get the tickets.
Yep.
Yes.
And then it was like, why do you have all this space? I mean, I get it if there's 1 million people standing in line to get tickets,
but there never was up there.
There never was.
No.
So I don't know.
Yeah.
Whatever.
I mean, we talked about that, but yeah, no, I think
widen the aisles. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I think next year they'll probably expand that a little more. I think it's going to be as big as this year was because I don't see, just anecdotally from all these other shows you guys are talking about, it just seems like there's going to be a lot of demand for the National, and it's a great location. So I mean, I can tell you that even looking at hotels, like they're either sold out or the prices are insane for hotel rooms. So I do think there's a huge demand. I mean, people have they're all booked, ready to go. So wouldn't surprise me if they sell a lot of tickets on Cyber Monday, you said? Yeah. I'm sure they will.
I found out about this today because I'm sometimes a little slow to find things out. But when I heard about this, I thought this was really cool. So eBay launches a new sports card price guide feature. And now that raises the question, should pricing apps be scared? So what it is basically is you take a photo of a card. Stop me if you've heard this one before, but you take a photo of a card with your phone and it tells you what the card has sold for.
Yeah, that's so 2019.
No, dude, that's not 2019. That's like 2022.
Oh, I think
But still, it's out there.
What were there comping apps back in 2019?
Most of them popped up during the pandemic.
So 2020 forward.
Yeah.
So first of all, I just want to tell people how you find this, because I had to do some digging. I read an article about this, and even then I'm looking at the article and I'm like looking at my phone, looking at the article, like, how the hell do you get to this, right? Like, so what you do is on your phone, this obviously doesn't work on the computer because you need the camera on your phone. You click on My eBay, and then you scroll down, and then there's a section that says shortcuts, and then it says scan cards, and then it opens up your camera, and then it gives you, like, the ability to take a picture of the card. It's not intuitive. It's tedious, but it's better than the current way on eBay. And actually, I was thinking about this like literally like 2 days ago. I used eBay to check comps on a card because somebody came to my table. They wanted to sell me a card. They told me it was worth this much. I said, well, I'd like to check the comps and see if it's actually worth that much. And then I opened up my phone and I searched for the card, and like literally like the current method. And I've been probably using this method since 2019 or 2017 or whenever I downloaded the eBay app on my phone. And if I would actually comp a card, which I wouldn't really do in front of a dealer and at a table, but the times have changed and cultures change and stuff. But you type in what you're looking for. You basically look at the search results, then you click on filter, and then you scroll all the way down and you click on sold items and then show results. And what really pisses me off about this is that eBay likes to boast about how much money gets sold, or how many trading cards get sold, how many millions or billions of dollars of trading cards get sold using eBay, how eBay has a vault, how eBay does this, and how eBay likes to say it's a major player in sports cards. Well, yes, it is, but you know what? They didn't really do anything to make it better. Like if I said, okay, 10 million sports cards get sold on eBay a year, I need to do something about this. I need to make it easier for those people so that they continue to do this, right? Instead, they never really did anything about that until now. So now you get the scan cards feature, and it's kind of nice. So I got a couple of screenshots if you're watching the video of this podcast. If not, I'll just describe what we got here. So I grabbed an Alex Ovechkin victory rookie from 2005, 2006, took a picture of it, purposely kept it in the one touch, purposely made sure that light was hitting it right over Ovechkin's face. Now, I know it's not doing facial recognition, but I tried to make it hard for the app. Well, it took the picture of the card, and it was funny because they were like little scan dots like all over the card for like a couple seconds. It almost like it was kind of like just checking all the different points. Like it was maybe checking like 200 points on the card or whatever. Then it basically figured out that it was a victory rookie, but it gave me the option, is it the base version or the gold version? So I clicked on the base version because that's what it was. Then it shows recent sales data, and it lets you go back as far as 2 years. So the, what is it? The, when you go to research, when you go to sell on the web, and you click on the research tab, and then you could do 3 years of sales data. This only does 2 years of sales data, but it's pretty easy to digest. It's pretty nice, pretty straightforward. It gives you the option for ungraded, PSA 10, PSA 9. So there's like different filters that make sense for trading cards. So you don't have to type in Ovechkin, victory, rookie, PSA 10, or ungraded, or whatever, right? So then, oh, did you want to say something? No. Okay. Sorry. So then what I did was then I grabbed a crappy card. I grabbed a, who is this? This is Wyatt, don't want to say Wyatt Kaiser, Wyatt Kalyanuk, who's not on the Blackhawks anymore. I think he's playing in Europe. I just had this card sitting on my desk. Grabbed it, took a photo of it. Well, the app correctly deduced that it was the Black Rainbow version. It's a shiny card, but it's from O-Pee-Chee Platinum. So, or no, sorry, this is from Allure. But it was able to figure out that it was the Black Rainbow version. Shows me that there's no sales data. Then it was, but then I can look at the what's currently for sale, right? And you can do that even if there's sales data. So this is great. This makes this really easy to do. The hardest part, honestly, is getting to this feature, like finding it. It needs to be a shortcut on the homepage. It needs to be super easy instead of burying it under 2 or 3 different places, different tabs or whatever. The third test I did was I said, all right, what's like just a card that like most people wouldn't be wanting? Like, obviously, certain people collect AHL cards. I like AHL cards. When I say certain people, I don't mean that in a bad way. I just mean it's not a Jordan rookie. It's not a Gretzky rookie. It's not a Maurice Richard rookie. It's this was an AHL card of Vinny Hinostroza, right? Took a photo of it, figured out what it was right away. Don't think it had sales data on it. I can't remember. But what I did then was that there's an option that says sell one like this. And when you go into that feature, it produces the title for you. It figures out the category for you. It wants you to put in condition, but then it fills in the item specifics, the player name, the card year, the team. I mean, this even figured out, okay, Milwaukee Admirals in the AHL, right? That's great. The card number, right? And then even like it gave a suggested price that I should sell it for $1. And then it even like gave me like an estimate of what I should charge for shipping, which is way too high because it shows $720 to $840 for shipping. But you get the idea. Like, this is a time saver because a lot of this stuff that I would need to manually input. You know what's funny is when you search for a card of, say, like, I don't know, whoever your favorite player is, not Wayne Gretzky. Mine is Chris Chelios. But like, let's say I was searching for Chris Chelios. But then, or Wayne Gretzky. Let's say I'm searching for Wayne Gretzky, but then I get search results of players who are not Wayne Gretzky. But that's because sometimes people would put Wayne Gretzky as the player name in like the item specifics. So that's kind of a way to.
That's my favorite.
Yeah, isn't it right? When you go, I didn't search for. I searched for Mario Lemieux, but I'm getting John Cullen. What's going on here, right? And it's either the person didn't edit the item specifics; they just reused a previous listing and they forgot to change that, or they just put in the name of a more popular player to get hits.
Yeah, I get that all the time where I do Penguin searches.
Yep.
And Sidney Crosby comes up in Penguin searches, and there are a lot of jackass eBay sellers that put Sidney Crosby in their thing.
Yes.
And it's all like 1990 Pro Set Commons, and it all's coming up under a Sidney Crosby search.
Yeah, or you type in Alex Ovechkin Young Gun and you get like, obviously not even Alex Ovechkin cards, just some other jank ass cards because people spoof that with the item specifics. But the nice thing here is that it'll fill that in for you if you're trying to sell a card. So this is going to be an incredible time saver once it's ready for prime time, once eBay makes it a little bit easier to get to. It's in beta mode right now. So my question, which we'll talk about this. So thinking about some of the apps like Ludex, like 130 Point, like Card Ladder. Honestly, the only one I've played around with is the Ludex app. Should these pricing apps be worried? Because eBay can now do what they do. And then some, right? Because 130 Point or whatever, and I haven't used it, so I'm not an expert on it. But it's like, okay, what are they doing? They're getting their sales data from eBay. Maybe they're getting their sales data from other places as well. But now it's like eBay's doing that. Wow, Johnny come lately, right? I mean, welcome to the party, eBay. Everybody's using you to buy and sell cards. You make a vault and you do this authenticity guarantee and all this stuff, right? Like they're doing all these other things, but it's funny because eBay is like an industry giant in technology, and yet they're really slow on the uptake for this idea. So it seems kind of obvious now. And also it's like, why not why now, but like if it was any other company doing this, it'd be like, dude, you're way too late to the party. But because it's eBay and they're basically grabbing their own data, but then allowing you to just turn around and sell the card that you just photographed, I think this is awesome. And if I was one of these other companies, I'd be peeing myself right now.
Yeah, no, I think you're right about that. I think they're late to the party because I think they're slow. They've been slow to really understand how big the card market is. I think a lot of them thought, oh, this is a pandemic thing. And then when things go back to normal, our sales will go down. But I think and I think you guys were both there, obviously, at the National, the eBay booth was ginormous, and it had like programming and guests, and it had like I met the PR woman there for eBay. Like it was really, really, they were upping their game big time. That's number one. And number two, eBay sells not just cards; they sell anything you want to sell. It's a massive marketplace, so they understand that cards is one massive part of their business, but it's not the only thing they sell. These other logos you have on here, they only sell cards, so that they're only in one space. And then AI is exploding now, and the use of AI and it's becoming cheaper to produce and easier. And like you said, like, hey, takes a photo of the card and it populates all the sections. Where if you had to do it, I mean, there were times in the past where I would not want to sell a card on eBay, just so I didn't want to go through the trouble of having to put in all, fill it out. Now imagine you can just scan it and it does it. I mean, it becomes a big game changer for not just a card shop or a dealer, but even just like regular people like us who want to sell 5 cards. You can do it now in probably 10 minutes as opposed to 10 minutes per card. So that's what I think is happening here. But otherwise, yeah, they've been a little slow. But I think because they have all the data and they have the infrastructure, they got to blow everyone away.
I know part of what they said is they're going to try to pull data from elsewhere, and that's really the key. That's always been my problem with comps in general. Comps. I mean, they go to one source. You go to eBay auctions and you look for source information from these auctions, or if you can find the actual buy it now offer pricing of what it actually is, you can see what it's for sale for. Like this was for sale for 130, best offer accepted. Well, what's that best offer? You used to be able to whittle that down with Terapeak, and then eBay basically absorbed Terapeak, so you had to use, or still have to use it through their product research function in the seller hub. I'm guessing this is going to replace that, but I'd like to see it be able to pull in data from other sources, because that's what a lot of these other programs are designed for, like Colex or Card Ladder and like the Ludex app, like have other source data. Where they pull it from, I don't know. I mean, think about the old time Beckett. Where did Beckett get their prices? Well, that was supposed to be survey data. They'd go to shows all over the country. They'd talk to dealers all over the country. Hey, what's this going for? What's this going for? And they'd have a report and they'd send them a list of here's the hot guys, here's the not guys, and they would compile all that and that would go into their guide. You get your little arrow going up or your arrow going down. And were they real? I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe so. Who knows? That's what I think about these now, because I buy on eBay, sure. But like you said, eBay is not just a trading card platform. I think it came out in 2023, their collectibles category made up about 13% of their total sales for the year. Well, trading cards are a part of that 13%. So if you're looking at overall, what is that? Well, the last thing that came out that eBay posted saying about how they're so big in trading cards, I mean, you're talking millions and millions of dollars in monthly sales. And when they released who the biggest sellers were on the platform, just based off of responses from the amount of auctions sold and the amount of feedback and everything else, that's a lot of money changing hands. So I understand why people go there to pull the data. But you have tons of auction houses where stuff is selling. You have tons of card shops where stuff is selling. You have tons of online retailers where stuff is selling. One of which we're going to talk about in a minute. But still, it's all data that's out there. So the more data you have, obviously, the better your numbers are going to be, the more accurate they're going to be. So now that they control it, I mean, we'll see how this goes. I like it. I like the idea behind it. I like the functionality of it. We'll see, I guess.
Clemente speechless.
Well, I gave my thoughts, but I agree with Tim in that the functionality is great, but we shall see. I mean, we'll see what happens. I mean, these other guys may go away, and there's a lot of other transactions in the hobby. I mean, it really gets down to the part I hate the most. And like Tim said, I hate the comps part because I think it may create a false picture of what something is going for. And so, and we've all been in a situation, and Sal has been on the receiving end as a dealer. People just walk up to you and they're got their, face in their lap looking at like what the latest comps are. And that becomes the origin point of the negotiation, the discussion. And that can be annoying either as a buyer or a seller. And you mentioned the old Beckett. I mean, Beckett invented this. And if anything, Beckett should have created an app years ago and did all these things. And, talk about getting left behind. Beckett's really the one that got left behind. And they still have a price guide on paper. And, and I don't know that anybody ever uses it unless sometimes the Wi-Fi is really bad at a show and people are forced to have to look that up.
Beckett and eBay to a lesser extent, but then just like industry giants, they're like a giant, like a giant cruise ship, and you ever see the turn radius on one of those things? It just takes forever to turn around. And that's what they're like Beckett. And that's the problem. Like it's in a way, it's almost easier to be a startup and just say, hey, I have this great idea to do this app and it's going to do this thing. And then you do it. Right.
Yes.
Whereas if it's Beckett saying we should have a card pricing app, it's going to be like, well, let's bring it up at the next shareholder meeting and let's see what Dr. So-and-so. I know Beckett doesn't own Beckett anymore.
No, but you're right.
You know what I mean?
They have to ask a million people and they have to blow up their whole business model and you can't easily do that. Yeah.
Right. And just like the same way, I think about Topps, right? Look at Upper Deck hockey cards came out in 1989 and Topps didn't really do anything about it until 1992 with Stadium Club, right? Where they just said, oh, we got to compete with this, right? But by 1990, they should have seen by 91 I guess that would have been Stadium Club, would have been 91 Stadium Club. But even their 91 baseball cards were just not so great. You know what I mean? 92, 93, they didn't really up their game until 93, 94 for just their standard set, right? So you just look at that. There's just this big, slow thing that takes forever to change direction. And I think that eBay, yeah, you're right. I mean, it's not just with cards, but I think when they're they bought Golden Auctions and they got their vault and they got, their what is the eBay? I forget. I keep calling it the authenticity guarantee.
Authentication program where you buy a graded card and then they grade it again, or I mean, they don't. They
look it over.
They just look it over to make sure it's not a counterfeit.
Because there's been a lot of fraud, and then eBay is on the hook for that. So they rather have this process. And then if you've ever gotten a graded card bought on eBay over a certain price, it takes a little longer, but then you get in that nice little fancy box that you can open and, it's like a Tiffany necklace or something. And it's just another guarantee that eBay wants to give because it wants to give peace of mind to the buyer. And also because, as we know, all of us have had bad experiences on eBay occasionally, or maybe the post office was a culprit. And usually you get your money. eBay, you get your money. It's not a problem. And so that kind of business model really works, especially when you're dealing with so much money, as Tim pointed out, exchanging hands. And, with other marketplaces, you're not really getting those guarantees unless it's a big auction house. and they're not selling cards for $50. They're selling cards for, $1 million or $50,000, and that's not the kind of pool we're swimming in, anyways. So yeah, no, eBay's a big brand. I just don't. They're a little late, but it doesn't matter because they have all the price data. I mean,
Yeah.
Tim pointed out they don't have all of it, but they have a huge sample size that nobody can claim to have. Everything else is like blockchain, or everything else is, we have to pull it from other places, and it becomes more complicated and a lot harder to do. And the AI functionality, you can't beat that, I think.
I mean, somebody's selling a PSA 8 or PSA 9 Mickey Mantle card, 52 tops Mantle, right? They're not selling it on eBay. And
no,
they're not
looking auction house.
Yeah.
An auction house, yeah.
Right. And so that's kind of out of the window, right? Like, so, but for anything that's not like $1 million card or, $500,000 card or something,
Right.
something that's going to be super high end, that's, incomparable kind of in a way, right? Because one might sell for $1 million, but it doesn't mean that the next one's going to sell for $1 million. It might sell for $2 million. It might sell for just under, you know what I mean? But like, the thing is that like with these other cards that us plebeians are buying, right? Like the $50 cards, $100 card, right? Or whatever. It makes sense for this. eBay makes sense for that marketplace. The reason why
the mechanism for the bigger cards, though, because they have gold. They have the mechanism for the bigger cards because they have golden.
Yes.
So it's an adjacent thing. Just like Fanatics is buying up everything. They want to be a complete end-to-end. They want to own it all. eBay did the same thing. They recognized that the trading card market expanded so big that they had to do something just to put focus on it. What did they do? They went out and bought, what was the TCG player? Like they bought that whole entire platform and absorbed it. Then they bought Golden. Then they got their Vault, like you said. Then they got their, eBay Live,
Yes.
So they have live platform for live selling. They have a vault where you can keep your stuff. They'll authenticate sort of and double check stuff. They have a bigger auction house if you want it. I mean,
the truth is
like a one-stop shop.
Yeah,
one-stop shop.
The truth is that part you saw that you mentioned about, are they too late or left behind? The truth is they could easily catch up because when all of us are looking for something, the first thing we do is go to eBay.
Yeah.
It's the
there's
first
way
thing
more eyeballs there because there's way more users.
Exactly. And that's what's in the, and it's a big brand name. It's not going away. And, there's another brand that we often go to, and that's the next topic we're going to talk about. That's something that is, something that's imperiled, but eBay, they don't have any problems right now.
Yeah. And one thing I just want to say though, and I might have implied this, but I'm just going to say it again, just say it explicitly. If these apps like Card Ladder depend on eBay sales data, so they're either being provided that data, like through something called an API, where they just basically say, here's our information. So there's like two ways of doing this without getting overly technical. There's scraping, which is where you just write like a little program that just basically goes to the website and gathers all the info that it can, like they call them spiders, but like kind of like the way Google indexes a website, right? Like Google goes to a website, they send a little program to like basically like see what text is on that page and see if it's relevant for this or that or whatever, right? So one way is data scraping. Another way is just getting the data from the company, where they say, here you go. Here's the code that you need. Implement this code into your app so that when people search for, Connor Bedard, Young Gun rookie card, they'll get this sales data, right? They could cut that off, or they could just triple the price, right? Like if you want people to just use your app for card pricing, because these other apps, all they do is card pricing. You know what I mean? That's it, right? eBay does card pricing. Eventually they might expand this to comic books, right? Take a photo of a comic book, figure out what it's worth, right? Take a picture of these sneakers, figure out what it's worth, right? Like you can do anything that you take a picture of, right? Whereas these other apps are just tied to cards. And, or, the thing is that eBay might just say, we don't care if they're also pricing cards, but we're just going to increase the fee to use this API, and just make more money off of them, right? So that's why I'd worry about it, right? Because they're kind of beholden to eBay. If eBay just put up a brick wall and said, nope, can't get our data through your app, people are going to have to come to our app to get that data, they'd be in a lot of trouble. Then what? I don't know if you guys have any thoughts on that or not.
I mean, no, you're right about that. And so that's
a valid argument.
Yeah, no, it's a good argument, but I can't imagine a situation where they close off their data to other people. But if they do, then it becomes proprietary, and eBay can also monetize that somehow,
So what's going on with COMC? I know a week ago when we were doing our last episode, there were some rumblings, and we all agreed that, hey, you know what? Okay, some things might be going down with Check Out My Cards, but let's kind of wait and see how this shakes out, right? Because, at that point, we were just kind of hearing rumors, right? But now more and more people are talking about this, more and more information is coming out about this. So now this is a time for us to kind of add our 2 cents to the conversation, right? So just to give a quick overview, I know most of you who listen to the show know what Check Out My Cards is, but just to give a little bit of an overview of the company, Check Out My Cards is one of the oldest trading card marketplaces, also sometimes called COMC for short. They were founded December 21st of 2005, so they've been around for about 20 years. It's one of the largest, if not the largest, trading card marketplace. Reached 40 million listings in January of 2025. Clemente wrote about that in an article about COMC basically, hitting 40 million card listings, which is insane. COMC also handles Topps redemptions and Upper Deck ePack card fulfillment, right? So if you buy cards on ePack, you want those cards shipped to you, Upper Deck could ship them to you, or you could send them to COMC to sell, to resell, or to have shipped to you. But recently, COMC recently laid off some employees, and other employees in the past recently have quit without being replaced. But I think what really made me say, okay, this is something for real now, is that Upper Deck is moving away from COMC for shipping their cards. And they're partnering with the Authority for that. Now, if the Authority sounds familiar to you, it's because that's the company that has the photos of the Cup cards. So remember we talked about patch swapping on cards. And so now it's like the Cup rookie patch auto cards come in a slab. That slab has a QR code. Take a photograph of that QR code. Takes you to the Authority website, and you get detailed photos of that card so that yes, this is the actual card. It's not a fake card. It's not a card where somebody basically changed the patch to look better or, did any sort of tampering. So, okay, that's fine. So COMC was for selling the Upper Deck cards or handling fulfillment or ePack or whatever. And the Authority would be like, okay, this is where the photos are going to be for our Cup cards. That's fine. Now the Authority is going to handle shipping cards. Like they're making it sound like now you have the option to also use this other website that you've never used before for this thing. But you know how it is. Sometimes, it starts out as an option, but then eventually it becomes the only way to do it. So now our question is COMC doing okay? Will it fold? Will it get bought by Fanatics, Upper Deck, or another company? Gents, what are you thinking about this?
Well, let's be clear right off the bat. They haven't dumped COMC. The announcement that they made is they've got both. So when you go to your platform and you're looking for the cards and you want to see where to ship it from, some have the COMC marking on them, some have the Authority marking on them. So depending on what the item is where it's going to come from. For now, that may change, and it may shift all that direction. But as it stands right now, I don't see a way they can get out of the partnership with COMC for a while.
Right.
Simply because how deep they are in it. So unless they all of a sudden turn around tomorrow and Upper Deck comes out and says, hey, we're going to sunset all the products we have on the EPAC platform, and everything that comes out from here on out is going to be at this new company, there are hundreds of thousands, possibly millions of cards that are part of that platform that are still accessible, that are at this other warehouse that would no longer be accessible. And what I mean by that is they're not in individual people's accounts necessarily. They're part of product that still has yet to be opened and claimed. Because, we all know that's how this works, right? They have all the product. When you open EPAC, that corresponds to something that's been opened. The algorithm pops the card's in inventory. If you have it in your account, now it's automatically in your account. Based off of you pulled it, there it is. If you want it shipped, they're going to ship it because they have it. So you have all this inventory that's there. Not to mention, Fanatics uses them for the Topps redemption fulfillments. So they've got both of those things going for them. So all that aside, what's going on? Don't know. Every company restructures. Every company does things to position themselves better financially at some point or another. What they're actually doing, I don't know. I'm not there. I don't work there. I may know some people that worked previously there. I may have heard some things, but at the same time, we don't really know the inner workings. Now, you can take what they said, they being COMC, with a grain of salt, because I feel like the statement that they made in response to now, first of all, I didn't expect them to respond to the rumors that were going around, because these hit just all of a sudden out of the blue. I guess a pretty popular social media personality in the hobby announced that they may have some problems on the horizon, and then everybody went crazy. So the fact that they responded to an unsubstantiated rumor is kind of crazy to me. But anyway, I guess they needed to. Today's day and age, if you're quiet, that makes you guilty, right? So you put it up here. COMC continues to operate from a position of strength. All products and services remain fully supported. We're focused on providing customers the same level of service and quality they've come to expect, and we're committed to advancing our mission to optimize joy for collectors. I'm not the most eloquent person when it comes to the English language, but even I can see that was written by AI. It just was. And if it wasn't specifically written by AI, it was written by a PR company who is basically just human forms of AI. So, I mean, that's really what that boils down to. So whether you believe what they're saying or not, I'm not here to argue about that, but there's their statement. It's benign. It doesn't trigger anything else. It doesn't tell you anything. It really says nothing. So are they closing? I don't know. They say they're in a position of strength. Do they say they're in financial strength? No, they just say a position of strength. What does that mean? We don't know. It says nothing. So we're still left to speculate. They're in too deep with Upper Deck at this point. I think it would be a while before they could filter that out. That's going to take a while. The Topps thing, I mean, Fanatics has taken everything in-house. There's no reason why they couldn't yank back their redemptions from them and do it themselves, because they're big enough to do that. Where I think the problem arises is what I brought up years ago when they partnered with, well, I guess it wasn't that many years ago. It was like late 2023 when they partnered with eBay and basically said, hey, Now you can put all your COMC cards on eBay, and eBay is going to support us, and we're going to support them, and it's going to be one big happy relationship. And sure, it got more eyeballs on people's stuff and gave you that other capability, but at what cost? I mean, I'm sure they were getting a deal, because if you look at the numbers, we just spent how long talking about eBay. COMC is one of the top 5 sellers for trading cards on the entire eBay platform. I think they're number 3 out of everybody. So that's crazy when you think about it. But you say they have 40 million cards. Okay, like 30 million of them are actually out there in the marketplace that you can buy. So a lot of those get cross-referenced on eBay. They have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of auctions all going at once. And at any given time, you can go and grab a bunch of the stuff in your account and put it into an auction. So you have that capability. So they're already in bed with these guys. So if they were in financial trouble and they're doing stuff, laying off employees, restructuring, doing this, doing that, to kind of make themselves be in a better position, because anybody that's been around businesses long enough, when there's going to be an acquisition or a merger or something like that going on, it all starts the same way. There's usually pre-acquisition layoffs that go down, which boosts profitability, because what's your biggest expense as a company? Payroll. So you cut some payroll, it's going to immediately add money to your bottom line. So, you have all these cost-cutting measures. You've probably created a team with somebody, and you're like, hey, we already have people in this department. We already have people in this department. So it's kind of redundant. Let's get rid of them. And so that's generally what happens. So those layoffs happen. I'm not saying that's what's happening here, but could be part of it. It sucks, especially for those people. And now we're coming up to the holidays, so it's even worse. You hate to see people laid off holiday time. I mean, that's like the worst. But, bad timing or not, this is something that happens in the business world sometimes. The real question is, and I think the reason why we're having this discussion is, I think we'd all agree that they're way too big and way too big in the market for them to just disappear completely. So the question is, what happens if something happens? Do they restructure to the point where they cut off the dead weight and just continue on as COMC? Do they partner with somebody else? Does somebody buy them? I don't think Fanatics is in a position to buy them or would want to. I'm 100% positive that Upper Deck's not going to buy them, because they have no need for that.
Well, no, and especially if they're now, now that they've partnered with the authority, and they're going to have them start handling fulfillment of like EPAC cards. Yeah, you're right about that. But
sure. So if you have somebody there that's already going to do it, and you already have a backup plan in case something happens here, okay, fine. So what's left? Well, they already partnered with eBay. So, I mean, it doesn't take a rocket science to start crossing names off the list of who could come in and swipe in and pick that up. And we just said eBay keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger and more involved in the trading card market. Here they're adjusting their things so they can do pricing and all of that kind of stuff. They already have a vaulting program. What bigger way to boost your vault than to acquire a company that's got hundreds of thousands of square feet of warehouse space, albeit in Washington, but still, and it's already full of inventory.
Yeah, but that's not necessarily the inventory that eBay wants for its vault. Its vault is supposed to be for these high-end, highfalutin cards, not the 99-cent to $5 type cards that COMC has a lot of.
No, not necessarily. They have volume though.
But volume, that's exactly it. It's about volume at this point. I mean, look, if a company, again, hypothetically, if a company's in financial trouble and somebody comes in, we're here to save the day. You think they're buying them at street value, at whatever market value is for that company? Absolutely not. They're getting them for pennies on the dollar. So, eBay already made a financial contribution to COMC before, It was never released what it was. It was only simply said by both companies that one was made. So we don't know how much they put into it. It could have been to use a bad phrase, it could have been a sale leaseback transaction. It could be like a land lease or like a land contract where, I'm going to buy this, but I'm not going to acquire it for another 6 years. I'll just pay you rent for a little while, and then I'm just going to take it all outright at the end, like they do in real estate. So I don't know. Again, a lot of this is speculation, and we could all be, talking out our ears about all of this, but I don't think if they are in financial trouble to where in the next year and a half, we see a shift, what would that shift be? And I think at this point, my brain goes to eBay.
That makes a lot of sense. And, sorry, I know this always makes Clemente smile when I bring up my old job at the toy company. Check that off.
You worked at a toy company?
Yeah, check that off the bingo card, right?
No way.
Or stamp it on my bingo card.
Boom, right. So, but I remember the day after Thanksgiving, one year, like that Monday we came in and they laid off a bunch of people. And then 2 months later, they announced that we were getting acquired by another company.
There you go. So you experienced it firsthand.
Yes, exactly. And it's funny that you said that. And I thought about it and I go, yeah, I mean, that's the thing. So and so the company that's getting bought, they'll lay off people so that they look more profitable. And the company that's doing the buying, they're going to wait until early in the year, like January, and not December. They don't want to buy something in December because then that kind of quells their Q4 numbers, right? Because then they've taken on all this debt or they've made a big purchase, right? But if they wait till the beginning of the year and then they make that big purchase, it's like, okay, well, you have time to even things out and be profitable. So yeah, the timing seems right for that, actually. Like
my experience in the business world for this, and you have that personal experience there, you see, look, a lot of times you see companies bought out, and in the process of buying them out, the marketing staff comes in, and the first people that get fired are the marketing staff of the company being acquired. And that's because they have their marketing staff. So they feel like their team is better than your team, because if your team was better, we wouldn't be buying you. Right. And that's generally the thought process there. So you also get a lot of times where staff gets cut big time when an overseas company comes in and buys, because they want to get that number down as far as they can so that it can make it look that much more profitable. But I mean, the only way somebody makes money off of a deal is, like I said, reducing the redundancy, and that's through layoffs. So, it is what it is. It sucks, but it is what it is. But the other thing that was kind of telling to me is retail type companies and companies that sell things generally try to increase their market power and their influence. And a lot of times the only way they can do that is through cross-sell things, meaning like promotion type stuff, and they'll go hard and heavy on trying to take their customer base that's current and make them stronger so that they seem like a more solid company, for instance. Well, what does COMC sell? Well, they sell other people's stuff, but they sell it essentially off a commission, right? Well, what did they just announce after all this came out? If you put $250 into your account before, I forget what the date was on it, they'll give you access to all the historical sales data that you used to have to buy and pay for. They'll give you access to all of it for free until December 31st. Mm-hmm. Now, there used to be ways that you could get access to it, like doing all the little, hey, add the card data to this card. And they would show you pictures and be like, what's the card number? 324. What's this card number? 165. And you would do the little trivia things, enter in that data, and it would give you so many points so you could have access to the history and see the sales and stuff like that. Or you could buy it outright. Now they're offering this big promotion. Put $250 in your account. We'll give you free access to that service till the end of the year, which sellers, especially big sellers, they can utilize that data pretty good now until the end of the year, especially ones that are always paying attention to what's going on, rotating their inventory, doing that kind of stuff. So that's a good feature. I don't remember a time they've ever offered that. Maybe they have. I don't remember a time when they have. So I thought that was interesting, because it's like saying, hey, guys, you're supporting us and you've always supported us. So just put a little more money in your account and we'll give you all the features that you would normally pay for. We'll just give it to you. Not pay us, just put it in your account. So that does two things. It makes customers say, yeah, I'll do that. Why not? And it also increases all the money that they have in their hypothetical account that, let's be honest, most of us that use COMC, if we put money in there, we're not taking it back out. We're buying stuff with it. So those are just things that kind of jumped off the page at me. So,
well, plus they're having their Black Friday sale. So
the Black Friday sale corresponds to that. Yeah, I mean, that's the buying time, right? People try to buy, when stuff's on sale and everything else. But that's my take on it. I've talked too much already, so you guys can rebut me or agree with me or whatever.
When I was at the Chicago Sports Spectacular, I stopped at the COMC table. I was on my way to whatever. They had coffee set up for the dealers. So I was walking over back by the autograph area to get a cup of coffee. And I was noticing all the tables that were now in that area, like you said, and COMC was there, which seemed to be a weird place that they would be kind of off to the side and not kind of like in the middle of the show.
Sure was.
Almost like they were kind of an afterthought, like, oh yeah, I guess we got to put you somewhere. We'll just put you over here.
Not only that, I walked past them twice and didn't see them there.
So I walk up to them, and because usually they have like little giveaway things, they had stickers, whatever. And the guy said to me, one of them said to me, have you heard of COMC? And I'm like, of course I have. I got to get some of my cards out of COMC jail. And he kind of chuckled. And then he said something like, well, good. None of our employees are going to be going on vacation for a while. We're going to make sure that we get all the orders packed and shipped as fast as we can. And I said, he's like, none of them are going on vacation. And I said, I thought some of them went on a permanent vacation. And then there was like a taller guy, could have been the CEO. I don't know. I don't know if it was him. I didn't get a good look, but he just he's like, oh, well, yeah, that is true. We did have to make some adjustments to our staff, but that shouldn't affect shipping. Nobody from packing and shipping was laid off. And I said, oh, okay. And then they kind of walked away from me because they were trying to sell me on the idea of me listing my cards, but they went with them. And then when they saw that I wasn't interested in that, and when I brought up, oh, I heard some of your employees went on a permanent vacation, they kind of just like that. It was like cold shoulder from there. Like, well, there's no point in us talking to this puck junk guy, because of course I had my puck junk shirt on. So yeah,
you got farther in the conversation than I did.
Really?
Yeah. It basically worked out very similar, but yep. I didn't get that much of a conversation out of it. So obviously you were there before I was, and I'm sure they all had their little huddle and said, hey, no more of this. Like, we're going to nip this in the bud right off the bat. So, which is fine. I don't expect I don't want to call them peons, but I don't expect the people that do the trade shows on their behalf to be able to be mouthpieces and speak for the company's financial health. I'd be silly to think that, and I'm not going to stick a microphone in their face and be like, on the record for today's show, tell me, what's going to go on. It's I don't know, man. I don't know. I hope this doesn't die. And those of you that have listened to the show for years, or know me, or we've interacted, know my love-hate relationship I've had with COMC. And I had a very extensive period of time where that love was actually hate. And it wasn't so much hate, it was just disappointment. Because I'd been on this platform for so long. In fact, Tim Getch, the basically the president of the company, was the whole reason why I even got on that platform in the first place, because he actually took the time with me at a national many, many years ago, where they had just one little table in this big vendor space. There was nobody over there talking to him. I saw the sign, I'm like, what is this? And I walked over there, and he introduced himself. He talked to me. We had this long conversation. He explained how the programs are set up. I established myself with an account, the whole deal. And anytime I had problems for the better part of a year or two, I had his direct email address. I'd email him, and within a few hours, he would email me back a solution or the person that was working on it or something. It was very hands-on, and I understand that was newer back then. So, you're trying to build a company, so you're in the trenches and doing all of that. But he was the kind of guy that I took for that type of person. He cared about the hobby. He cared about the business he was doing. He cared about collectors. And that was the whole reason for starting that. So he's why I got jumped in it. He's the reason why I jumped in it. And the reason why I stayed is because it was so easy to use and so convenient. That was like I had a card show in my lap that I didn't have to pay exorbitant fees for anytime I wanted. And yeah, we can all be honest that people sell cards for higher on COMC than they do on eBay during the auctions, and things are for sale for more than they sold for in an auction. I don't care. I mean, I just don't care, because I'm not on COMC buying hundreds of dollars of cards where $10, $20, $30 makes a difference between high and low. I'm buying, $5 cards or less for the most part. And a $5 card to me is a $5 card. If I go to eBay and buy it for $1, cool, I got a $5 card for $1. If I go on COMC and buy it for $5, cool, I got a $5 card for $5. I don't care, because I'm doing it for my collection. Now, do I flip on there? Sure. I only buy Hall of Famers, and I buy them for like 40 cents, and I sell them for 60 cents. I'm not getting rich. I just do it for fun. So, that's been my experience for as long as I can remember on that app. COVID was bad. They didn't have the staff. Things sort of got better, but they struggled. So it took me better part of a year to get a shipment that I requested. It sucked. We talked about it a lot. I got banned from looking at their social media because I talked about it a lot. And I said many bad things. There was even a get out of jail free card made for me as a running joke because of it. I mean, and then it is what it is, So, like I said, love-hate relationship. But I like them. I mean, that's my go-to place. I buy a lot of things off of there. A lot. And if it wasn't for that, there's a lot of things that I wouldn't have ever found. Because you're not going to find the dollar cards or less on eBay all the time. And you're certainly not going to pay $1 for them and have them shipped for that. You buy a dollar card on eBay and it ships for $4. Well, I could buy a dollar card on COMC, leave it in my account, and ship everything for $20. So you're not going to get that kind of deal elsewhere. So, hey, there it is. Look at that. Amazing. Yep, that was me. You see it even? Clemente, have you ever seen that before? It even kind of looks like me.
I think I did see that once, yes.
Yeah. Kind of looks like me. I just don't
have
that.
It kind of looks like you. I thought I was a better artist than kind of looks like you.
Well, so I mean, it kind of looks like me, but I don't wear high heel shoes like that. So
No, it's Monopoly Man, but I gave him a beard. Or no, he has a beard. No, Monopoly Man doesn't have a beard. I gave Monopoly Man a beard and put some cards in his hands and says, get out of COMC jail free. This card may be traded, graded, or flipped.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. So
I really don't want them to die. I don't want them to go anywhere.
Yeah. So one thing that I want to say, well, a couple things I want to say as we wind this show down, is that COMC has problems. I mean, we talked about, okay, they're laying off people, this, that, the other thing, right? But I did a little bit of reading this morning, just trying to get kind of like a greater feel of things. Because, if I'm not thinking about it, I'm not thinking about it. But, now that I started thinking about this, I wanted to dig a little deeper. So one thing I talk about with my students, I teach user experience design, among other things. So, when I talked about like APIs and apps and data and stuff like that. I mean, it's stuff that I teach, the stuff that I talk about, right? And so one thing we always talk about is like, where does a process break down, right? Like, we love opening packs of cards. We hate sorting the cards, right? For me, that's where it breaks down, right? Or for me, it's not even the sorting the cards so much. It's the scanning and blogging about the cards, because I go, I got to write about this, right? And it just sits on my table. And then I open more cards and, I got to write about this, right? And then they just pile up, right? So there's always a break point. Looking at COMC, they have a couple of break points or choke points, If you send them 100 cards, it still takes them time to scan and list those cards. And it's not just you sending them 100 cards. It's everybody sending them 100 cards or 1,000 cards. Packing and shipping cards also takes time, right? Like, somebody's got to find the cards, pull them, pack them, whatever, right? As far as like the processing cards, I mean, it's like this. If I have a garage sale and Clemente says, oh, cool, you're having a garage sale, I got a few things that I want to sell. It's okay if I bring them to your garage sale? I go, oh, yeah, sure. Thinking that maybe Clemente is going to bring some shoes that he doesn't wear anymore, maybe some books he hasn't read in a while, right? But if Clemente showed up with 40 million things to put in my garage sale, I'd be like, right? Like, I wouldn't even, like, what do I do with this? I ran out of those little circular stickers that say 25 cents, right? Like, that's a breakdown. That's a problem. It's like, are they a victim of their own success, right? Whereas, like, Clemente can relate to this because he's a freelance writer. Honestly, Clemente, have you ever had to I know we shouldn't put down freelance work, like decline it, right? But I'm sure there's probably been one thing where you just said, you know what, I don't have the time to do this.
Yeah, because the fear is always, I won't do it right. I can't do it right. And then it's a reflection on, then you just do poor work. So instead of doing quantity, you do quality. So I do agree with you, because you guys have been very sort of detailed about the COMC issue. I do think that maybe because the car market's expanded so much, it is possible that they got overwhelmed. And it's not a matter of hiring more people, because as Tim knows, if you're not bringing in enough money, you cannot just hire more people and pay them. And so it becomes like a catch-22. It's like, okay, we've expanded, because how could we not? We can't decline people's cards. We can't say we're not taking any more submissions.
Not only that, you can't bring in the right people.
Right, exactly.
And that's maybe even a bigger issue.
Yeah, and so you run into this problem where this is going to happen. But I am a big believer that this may be too big to fail kind of thing.
I mean, look at PSA. Yeah. They stopped accepting grading for a year. Remember that?
Yeah.
And how that just made people want the grading even more. But they just said, literally, look, we just can't do this. We just cannot do this right now, right?
But
COMC just announced they cut off group submissions for a while.
So. But COMC has been very cagey. Their statement doesn't really tell us much. And if they decide not to go to shows anymore, or to shut it down for a while, people would lose confidence and say, you know what, I got my cards there. I'm going to pull them out. I'm going to cash out. And then the platform would start losing money and losing. So they're really in a weird, they potentially could be in a real catch-22. Now, how do you resolve that problem? I don't know. I agree that Fanatics is not interested in picking up this this project. It's too complicated. It's not sexy enough for them. This is turning into the eBay episode. I do think that eBay would do something because it's similar space to what they already have. Now, what that looks like, I don't know. They just put all the cards. Now, the people's real concerns are, will I lose my cards? Will I get them? Like Tim, I also buy and sell on this platform, but it's not like a Gretzky rookie. I'm not buying and selling those cards on here. So if my cards went away, I would say, oh wow, I have $10,000 of cards going away. I don't have that. I have $2 cards. I have common cards. I have Hall of Famers, but I have nothing that's worth more than $30 or $40 probably, and that's like high end for me on that platform. So would I be upset if I lost everything? Sure, but it wouldn't dent me. It's all the cards I don't want, so I can buy the cards I do want, because oftentimes I do go to eBay to see if they have a card. But what I will do is I will go to COMC to see if they have the same card, and even if it's $5 more, I'll buy it because I have credit with them. You amass credit when you're buying and selling on that platform, so you might as well use it. To me, it's like a found card, found money. And so I hope it doesn't go away. I agree with Tim, because it would be a big loss. And I also think that these workers who are sent out to the shows, I'm sure they don't know half the story either, and they're in no position to speak. So it's unfortunate for them. They have to be the front-facing people of the company. But if I'm COMC, put out a better statement. Don't put out something that leaves more question marks. Otherwise, we would never have done a show about it had they said, everything is fine. Don't believe the rumors you hear online. We're doing great. They didn't say that.
No, they got into that whole position of strength thing. So
yeah, and not even a financial strength, just strength. What does that
right.
mean? You're going to fight somebody? What is that? What does that even curtail?
It means, Anakin, I have the high ground.
Yeah, it's like, it's crazy. And you have a couple points up here. Like
yeah,
Clementi said, it's not like, okay, you're inundated with orders, you're inundated with submissions, you're inundated with people buying, trying to get stuff shipped. You can't just, if you're in financial problem and you're overextended, you can't bring in people because you don't have the money to pay them. But not only that, you don't have the money to pay the right people to come in, because I mean, your point right there. Washington State has the highest minimum wage in the U.S., $16.28 an hour. You're going to pay just regular old people that have no idea what they're doing. They're just taking a job at $16.28 an hour, and what their job is to look through endless inventory of cards for specific numbers that are serial numbered to the barcodes that come on the order forms. Track these down, pull them, make sure they're the right cards, and make sure that they're, packaged correctly and all of that kind of stuff. Don't you think you'd want somebody that's at least familiar with cards, or has some, or maybe collects, so they're going to take some time and put some care into it, or just gives a crap about cards in general? You don't want just random people. Like, I could hire a whole staff full of random people and just pay them base salary to just do menial work. But this is a little different than that. This isn't Amazon just grabbing stuff, throwing it in a box and sending it. I think this is a little different. If you're sending 1 card, 2 card, 3 card, whatever, I used to get shipments of 1,000 cards at a time. 1,000 cards. It took forever to pull all that for an order. I maybe 16.28 an hour people were doing that. I don't know. But again, I go back to the whole thing. The president of the company got me into this thing. He was passionate about the whole thing, and he sold me on the whole idea. And I loved the idea of COMC, and I loved what it was going to become, and I loved what it was going to build up to. And I just feel like, from what we have heard, it's like all the people that have those same opinions and have those same dreams of making this company into what it could become have all been passed over by the people that had the bright ideas of, hey, we can make you more money only if you do this. And they said, you're promoted. And they went from there. So I don't know. I just don't know. And like you saying that there's overrun with cheap cart, maybe. Maybe their warehouses wouldn't be stuffed with 40 million cards.
Well, yeah,
Maybe
and
they
that's
would
the
only be
thing.
stuffed with 20 million.
Well, no, but like, okay, so all the EPAC cards end up at COMC one way or another, right? Like, because
yeah, the
they
ones that are hits, yes.
yes, yeah, obviously not the digital only ones, right?
Right.
So the ones that are hits are in COMC, but a lot of those COMC EPAC hockey cards are what, 27 cents, 28 cents, because you have
The
600
race to the bottom happens, yes.
the race to the bottom, right? So what happens is now your warehouse is getting filled with Upper Deck cards. Oh, look, Upper Deck Series 2 came out, and look at this. There's a whole new set of Lunchbox Legends that are going to be selling for 28 cents each, and a bunch of Dazzlers where the Crosby will be $1, the Bedard will be $2.50, and the rest are going to be a quarter, right? And they're just going to sit there. No, they're not selling like crazy. They're just going to languish there, right? But these are physical cards that physically live somewhere. So every time Upper Deck puts out new sets, these cards live somewhere and nobody wants them. So that's I said here that the website is overrun with cheap EPAC hockey cards that no one wants. But more importantly, and I should have said this in my bullet point, is that their warehouse is not full of just these cards, but it's taking up a significant portion. I mean, you look at a set, maybe one of you guys want to look it up now, but just your typical Upper Deck, like your Dazzler set or your Teacher's Pet or I don't know, any of those like low end insert cards that you got one in every like 6 packs or whatever, right? And you're going to find like a couple hundred people selling the same card. So it's, yeah, that's a problem now. This becomes the stuff that the clutter that, it's not moving.
Well, the other thing too is that COMC could say, we won't take certain cards. I mean, then it becomes a higher end platform, or it becomes, then people are going to say, well, what's the point? COMC is good for my common. So it's also good if you're looking to finish a set, you would go to COMC. But maybe it's trying to fill a need that isn't there. I mean, if people are just sending their junk cards, and the chances of it could sit in their warehouse for 7 years. If you're looking for a card that no one's really looking for, really.
Well, what do you got to sell the card for to make it worth your while? Like at least $2, right?
At least, or I think $1.60 is like the least you can sell a card for. But there are cards there for 28 cents. I think it costs $1 to process it. I don't know. So to me,
for the EPAC cards.
Oh, I'm talking about regular physical cards.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So the problem is that's why you see, a lot of cards really cheap, or you see a lot of cards for $2 when they're not even worth $2. They're worth maybe $1.50, but people are trying to make something on it. And then you get these people send you an offer where they knock 30 cents off the price. You're like, really? We're arguing over 30 cents here? Like, what are we doing here? So sometimes COMC does sometimes COMC does annoy me, because I'll have a card for $2, which is really cheap, and someone like, I'll give you $1.60. I'm like, 40 cents off, and they're not buying 10 cards from me; they're buying one. So I don't know what this is about, and I think maybe this business model maybe isn't working. Maybe they need to do something else with it, because I think I've told you guys this. Just the idea that there's a warehouse with millions of cards in them, and they have to, like Tim said, go and get the right card. Because if they mail you the wrong cards, that's a big snafu. That costs more time and more money. Nobody wants that. It's a bad.
And that used to happen a lot.
Right. That's a bad customer experience. So now you're talking about what could be an overwhelming. I'm picturing like, in Seinfeld when Newman was talking about the mail. I'm just picturing people at COMC going like, I can't believe people are still mailing boxes to us with cards in it, which is their entire business. But if you work there, and it's your problem to sort them, to scan them, to deal with them. Even AI can't fix a problem of like 40 million cards. I'm sorry.
COMC's warehouse is the warehouse at the end of Raiders of the Lost Ark where they put the Ark. It's that warehouse where it's endless and goes on forever, and it's just cards instead of the wooden boxes.
Yeah,
I picture they had that problem. They would ship the wrong stuff. It would happen frequently. It did. Right. A lot of my shipments got like that, especially if I had a lot of cards in them. When they went to those individual flips, the little receipts that are in each card, that have the picture of the card,
Yes.
what the card is,
Yes.
the serial number from the website, all of that. When they went to those, as annoying as those are, I like maybe every 2 shipments, I might get the wrong card. And 90% of the time it's, I got the glossy, but they sent me the regular, but that's only because the tag was wrong because somebody marked it wrong.
Yes.
So they pulled the right card, but it was labeled wrong. That's the only problem I ever get. And it's like, if I have 500 cards, I might get 1, 2 max. So, that they've kind of fixed. But, to Sal's point, the crappy inserts, just one I popped up. 21-22 Dazzler, a blue Dazzler of Jacob Chikrin. There's 311.
What's the low price?
28 cents.
Okay, now look at all the Dazzlers. Just what you could view 100 of them at a time, and then just read off how many are in stock for each one. So there's 300 of Jacob Chikrin. What else?
100. Well, I've got 100 on a page.
Okay.
It goes from
10 of
311 of Jacob Chikrin
Yep.
all the way down to number 100 on the page, and there's 128 of that, and it's Eric Carlson.
So right there. And then just kind of scroll the page. Are they all at least 100 in stock or more?
On that page, yeah. 128's the bottom, 311's the top, and that's the top 100.
So 100 cards, and there's at least 100 of each of them. Right. So you see where I'm going with this, right?
I mean, it's exponential, of course. I mean, if you pull up any like the 90, 91 or 91, 92 upper deck, there's hundreds and hundreds of those.
So right there,
and that's people sending them in. That's not EPAC.
That example, though, that's 10,000 cards right there. That's just assuming that there was 100 of each of one of those of 100 times 100, but there's 300 Jacob Chikrins, and there's probably 250 of this guy, and 280 of that guy, or whatever, right? So yeah, that's a lot of freaking cards. We talked about shipping and packing, and you mentioned Indiana Jones, and I was trying to tell a joke, but I got cut off. But you said it's like, but with the warehouse with all those wooden boxes, and I said, yeah, but only they're going to be white card monster boxes instead of wooden crates. But you know what? Today, so on November 24th, as we're recording this, I said, all right, you know what? I want to see what it would cost and how long it would take. So initially, I had 148 cards in my inventory. One was a card that I transferred from EPAC, and the other 147 are cards that I bought outright from COMC. And it said, your order doesn't qualify for flat rate shipping because you have a card that you didn't buy on COMC. And I'm like, okay, cool. I will remove this one card that I bought on EPAC, and I'll worry about that later. Let's just see the other 147 cards. Well, still didn't qualify for flat rate shipping. Options it gave me, bulk shipping, $20, actually $19.99. I'll get those January 10th, around January 10th. Standard shipping, $42.99. ETA would be December 16th. Okay, couple weeks. Rushed would be $154.99. ETA December 9th. And Express, $205.99. ETA would be December 4th. Now, this is for 147 cards. Most of our listeners know what a 200 count card box looks like. The size of that is. That would fill that box with some room to spare. Cards are a little thicker now. So a 200 count box might have fit 200 Topps baseball cards in the 80s, but the upper deck cards, a little bit thicker stock, yada, yada, whatever. But you get the idea, right? $20 to ship 147 cards. What?
It's bulk shipping. That's why.
What does that mean?
They eliminated economy shipping where they could ship for lower prices, and they went strictly to a bulk shipping amount. So they did that back in May. So
it's ridiculous.
The standard shipping option caused a slight increase in per item fees, but they could process things faster because, well, Yeah, they're getting paid more so they can move quicker. But the economy service, they put bulk service in its place. So that's all for high capacity for bigger orders. So basically 50 cards up to 500 cards. You can ship for $20. Anything in between there ships for $20. Anything past there, it becomes a new order. So if you have 501, 500 ship for 20, that one ships also for 20 because it's past that amount. But again, that's the problem with bulk shipping is it has that flat amount. So if you have 50 cards or 100 cards to ship, yeah, that kind of sucks. If you have 500 cards to ship, it's not really that bad. The 200 card box thing, don't they send them in every time I get stuff, it's always packaged in those grading card boxes.
Yeah, it's in a graded
box.
It's
in the regular box, and that's packaged inside of a grading card box. And then most of the time I ordered so much that it's in a giant cardboard box too, outside of that. So
the last point I wanted to make is that some of the best cards are for auction and not sale outright. Like I said to myself, I need a Frank Nazar Young Gun card. And there's going to be those now because he was in was it last year's set? Yeah. So I'm thinking, okay, those have been out for a while. Those are going to be on EPAC. Those are going to be on COMC, eventually make their way to COMC. I go to buy one thinking, no, maybe I can get one for whatever. It's like a $20 card. Maybe it's more now. I don't know. But auction, all auction items. Okay. So it's kind of like, yeah, if it's the $2 to $5 card, you could buy it outright. But if it's a $20 card, well, I might make $21 if I put it to auction, right? So I think that's kind of tedious also, is that it's like, check out my cards, but it's like, check out my cards that are like $2 to $10. And then obviously more than $10, but you get the point. It's like those middle cards, right? Like cards you would need to fill out your sets, but not like those key cards, because the key cards will end up on auction on eBay, right? And the really low end cards, you're not going to find those on COMC because those cost too much to ship and then to resell, and you're not going to make a lot of money out on them. And and then that's where a website like Sport Lots kind of comes in for that niche, for that lower end, base common cards. So
are you paying heavy on Nazar?
Am I paying heavy?
Yeah.
I'm not paying anything.
Isn't that what the kids say these days? Are you paying heavy? What are you looking to get a Nazar for? Because they are on COMC, because I looked at one the other day because I need that one too.
Okay. And they just have them where you can buy them outright?
Yeah.
Okay. Because
they had at least a half a dozen of them available, but I didn't want to pay $35 for one. So.
Right. Yeah. I don't know. I just took a quick look, but I was just kind of like, oh, okay, everything's an auction item. Great. Okay, so maybe not everything's an auction item. But then again, if it's like a $50 card, it's going to go to auction, right? Because I might have a $50 card, but, maybe mine will go to auction for $52, right? I think that's what I did with Mort Cider. I think I just bought it outright, his Young Gun, on COMC, because somebody just had it at a fixed price and it said, I need this card, and I bought it and I was done with it. And since then it's gone down considerably, but at the time I was just happy to get it. So, because he was Rookie of the Year. So I'm like, all right, I need to have this card sooner or later. Yeah, so interesting what's going on. Any final thoughts before we wrap this one up? Because this has been kind of a long show, but it's been a good show. So, we covered a lot of topics today.
My final thought is, please, COMC, don't die.
I agree, and hopefully they'll have a Black Friday sale, and that'll help them a little bit during the holiday season, and we'll see what happens in the new year.
Yeah, I'm debating if I want to just get my cards out of COMC jail and get the rest of my credit transferred back to me and just be done with them.
My submission from the Nationals still hasn't hit.
Same with me.
December,
Yeah, I think it's a 6
something.
Yeah,
They haven't listed your cards yet?
Same with mine.
They
I think
haven't
it's a 16-week thing, so I think we're approaching that now.
December 18th. I had a 400 card submission. So
yeah, similar. I had a similar one.
You could have listed your cards on eBay using their new feature. Like,
well, I couldn't. They're all like $2, $3, $4 cards.
Yeah, no one's gonna buy those on eBay.
Plus, you know how long I'd still be scanning and typing up crap to list those.
Not with their new scan card feature in their mobile app that populates the fields automatically for you.
You know, and that's the beauty of eBay versus COMC as a final thought. eBay, you do all the work.
Yeah, that's why I sent it to these guys so they would do the work.
Right.
Yeah, it is nice they do the work. So yeah, I don't want to see them fail either. I like them. I like their place in the hobby, and I honestly, other than being appalled by the high shipping prices, it's overall been a great experience working, buying. I don't sell on COMC, but buying from them. I mean, I used to write about them all the time, because I remember the first time I bought from them, I wrote a long article like about the whole process and about how the cards are packed. And I was just impressed with everything that they've done. And every time I've gotten an order from them, I've just been impressed with the care that they take of packing the cards, putting them in penny sleeves and all those things. So yeah, I don't want to see them fail. I want to see them succeed because I think they're a good business. And I think that they made card collecting easier for most of us. But at the same time, I think it's a little time to worry because they might be a victim of their own success. And they, 16 weeks, huh? And how many cards was that for? 50? 100?
Oh, no.
Mine was 400.
I think mine was like 300. Yeah, it was a big box. Yeah.
And everybody was doing 300, 400, I'm sure. So
yeah.
Well, okay, guys. Thanks for doing this show. I know it was a long topic or long podcast, a lot of topics we covered today, but I think we'll wrap it up here. So thank you for listening to the Puck Junk Hockey Podcast. As always, if you've enjoyed the show, please be sure to like and subscribe. Please check out our newsletter at puckjunk.com/newsletter. And if you'd like to support this podcast, you can purchase a t-shirt at shop.puckjunk.com. And until next time, collect what you like.